repeat.
All right, tonight is June 23rd, 2025, 6:03 p.m. After a little bit of technical difficulties with the live version, we're going to try this version. I would ask that everyone raise or stand for the pledge, followed by invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since Mr. Collins isn't here tonight, I'll lead us in a prayer. Dear God, we come to you today. Pray that you would keep your hand upon all of the council members as we make the decisions that are set forth in this meeting for the best of the county. We thank you for every opportunity you afford to us. Just be with us tonight and keep your hand on everything going on in the world around us. There's a lot of uncertainty in these times, and we just pray for your guidance in those situations. In Jesus' name, amen. First up on the agenda is the main reason we're here is the Sheriff's Department. We did come to an agreement with the sheriff on that litigation, so we have to go through and make some additional appropriations to those lines, which isn't entirely out of character because we took his original budget, we split it into quarters, so we have allocated half per se of his budget. So me and Heather sat the other day and went through and came up with kind of something to help us along, which I'll put up here. We split up into like the lit public safety, the lit special purpose, lit public safety for the jail. There's a fund for the narcotics officer and then one for general fund. So on the left-hand column is what has been allocated or appropriated to date. The middle column is what is in the agreement on each of these lines, and then on the right-hand side is what has to be approved or appropriated in order to come to the terms of the agreement. Does that make sense to everybody?
That will actually, because there are some lines where there are issues that will take them over the agreement amount, which we're gonna have to discuss.
Yeah.
And we also need to know where we're gonna be able to take this money from, because I've heard different things over the last few days, so.
So that's kind of what we got on the agenda to work through, and hopefully this will help us have an idea of what those budgets look like, and maybe we can go from there and get through this without it being too cumbersome.
I think we should probably start with the things that we know are correct, such as if you go up to the top of that lit public safety, which is where we would want to take it if we have the money. It starts with the sheriff. I think until we get down to the SRO, those first four,
Okay.
you're on line 11, you need to go up to the very top
Yeah.
there. Sorry. I used Excel and JR does not have any Excel experience. Oh, did it? It did this last time, didn't it?
Shouldn't blame it on my Excel experience.
No, it's the computer. It locked up, or the Excel locked up again.
Alright, tell Andrew I need a new computer. We're spending money already.
I don't know if it's a computer or just the Excel.
Or the operator.
Yeah,
too.
no, I don't think it was you that did something like that. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
Alright, so we're saying we start here
Yeah, go up to the very
and
top.
then go
there.
up to the very top.
So,
we know
the sheriff, yeah.
Yeah, his is 110,108, which is preset by the state. It's 60% of the prosecutor, so we know for a fact that's what it has to be. Agreements on track with that. Do we know what we have in lit public safety to work with for sure?
I sent you all those numbers Friday.
His, no, I was gonna say it's 60%.
60% of the
You said
prosecutor.
50, I thought. I
If I did,
misunderstand
it
you.
is 60%.
Okay.
60.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
so are you saying, where you say total appropriation on those numbers you gave us, the 1.3 million is what we've already appropriated just for this year, not including a full, because I believe every meeting out, when we've been given these numbers, I've said, hey, this includes a full sheriff's budget. So is this not include a full sheriff's
Hang on,
budget
just-
in the
I'm
1.3?
missing one of my papers when I printed
Oh,
them again.
sorry.
Hang on.
I'm just looking at what you sent for 7, 8
And that's,
meetings.
yeah, I thought I had printed those off, and apparently
know.
that one didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if this will help anybody, but let me remember how to do this, and maybe we can. So the initial, if we would have funded all of the budgets, would have been 4,096,000 and some change. I don't remember what that is. The agreement is 4,000,000. Can you help me with that number, Heather?
$4,491,682.
So roughly, here's the difference, kind of. I mean,
And we've
looking
appropriated,
at around $300,000 more to the sheriff's office.
let me see how much I show that we've appropriated.
If you had 4.1 and you're going to 4.5 roughly, yeah, about 400. I don't remember what the numbers here were. So this was the 25.
So according to my numbers, we've already appropriated $2,176,995.11. So
What was the
subtract
last part? 2,176.
995 and 11 cents. So 4,491,682. Should be a difference of 2,314,686.89. But if you add up what he's still saying he needs appropriated according to the agreement, sorry, I was told there'd be no math. I went to law school. 5928625.
Spell that right, but you get the point.
Yeah.
At least that's an idea of where we're at. So that we can at least see them as we go through.
And then there's
these
some
things.
negatives that need to come out there. Yeah. I can't really get a good number on what he's asking for because we've got, so for instance, one of the issues we have is that in the agreement, he asked for $70,000 in overtime for the sheriff's office, but according to our appropriations this year, we've already given him $75,000 for the sheriff's office overtime. So we need to figure out, but if we start with the things we know, and go from there, I mean, we know the sheriff, the chief deputy, the matron, the deputies, those seem to be on task. The SRO has a negative because we've appropriated $28,210 for an SRO. He did not include that in his budget, so I'm not sure why. Overtime and comp, I show that in meetings and through the original budget, we appropriated $23,750, those two lines together. But he only asked for $2,000 in the budget attached to the agreed order. Same with safety supplies. We did an additional appropriation of $2,500 from the sheriff's public safety lit, and he didn't ask for any of that. So those are sort of some issues we're gonna have to figure out, but I think if we can at least get through the parts that we know are correct, and then maybe work at the end, work through the issues. You didn't hear any of that?
Didn't hear any of that.
Sorry. I was showing them the issues. There are some lines that aren't issues, but like the SRO, if you look at that line, we've already appropriated $28,210 for an SRO. He didn't ask for any in the agreement, in the budget for the agreement. So he owes us $28,210 is the way I read that. The overtime comped, I don't know why I have those in two lines, but we've appropriated $23,750 for the sheriff's department. And he only asked for 11 in the agreement. So we've over appropriated that by quite a bit. Overtime, we've given him $50,000 out of general for the sheriff. We budgeted $25,000 in the budget, so that's $75,000 technically we've given him for overtime for the sheriffs. He only asked for 70, so we're $5,000 over already on the sheriff's overtime. So we need to figure out why that is. There was another safety supplies. We did an additional appropriation of $2,500 for the sheriff's office safety supplies, and he has 0 in his agreement. So to me, those amounts need to come back then. If they weren't part of the agreement and we already did an additional appropriation, we need to figure out why, and those need to come out of a different line. He's gonna have to figure it out then. Because we're not gonna be able to go a penny over what we agreed to. There's no
Well, and
way.
was my question, because there are things, like you said,
Yeah.
especially safety supplies, you need to tell me where to put those.
What to do with that?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I think, like she said, let's do what we know, and then we'll go to what we really don't know. That way we can narrow that list
And it
down,
might be that we
all
don't-
talk about it.
Those things we don't know, we don't have a decision on tonight, and I go back to his attorney and say, hey, this is an issue.
Yeah, this is the
What's
amount.
going on?
What do you want to do with it? Do you have a number in the lit public safety?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Lit public safety is, okay, with what I sent you, with where we put the numbers and everything, if you look at the end of the year, we're gonna have $38,714 in there.
Well,
The-
I guess my question is, what do we have in there to appropriate some of this to tonight? Because I know we've appropriated roughly half of what was expected for 25. And then we got one extra payment in May or whatever. So
And that's all appropriated in the numbers that I gave you.
how much do we have to work with tonight to put this stuff in?
I'm not sure what you're asking me, because you can sit here and say the total appropriation for the jail and sheriff was $2,222,159. All the other locations that come out of 1170 are $1,041,610. So that leaves your estimated 2025 appropriations at $3,263, $3,263,769.
What's included in the 2,200,000 too? Because I don't even show we've appropriated that for sheriff and for jail. We've only done 2.3 million, right, or 2.1 million. But you have $2,222,159. Do you have a list of what is
Mhm.
included in those
That was sent
appropriations?
to you.
These budget estimates?
That'll be on these guys right here.
Okay.
And it'll show you whether that came out of general, 1170, or 1114.
Jim, we get a copy of that. Can I
Sure
get a copy
can.
of that?
Yeah, just a minute, I'll go print it on mine, or do you wanna print it off of mine?
Yeah, 'cause I don't know that I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to have one too.
Yeah, make me one just so I know exactly what you're talking about. Because what I have is the sheriff's exhibits, I guess.
I can share the email, sorry, I got it.
On the phone.
So I can keep up here.
Okay.
Those numbers are just as up to date. You got three different ones. You got,
So this column
yeah,
is what we have appropriated so far.
so far.
This column is what is in the agreed order, and this column is simply what it takes to get from here to there.
Okay.
So
All right.
like merit board, we've appropriated 1,000, 2,000 is what is requested, so we need to add 1,000 to the merit board line.
You explained that. We got going through.
No,
some
you're fine.
different
I
numbers
just don't know how much we have to work with.
there. Right.
Well, and we don't know where to take the difference either.
But we just know we gotta appropriate, at least try to get the best numbers we can.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty much what we do in budget sessions,
Yeah,
except,
one department.
yeah, we have to know what's in the bank to use from,
Right.
because it's gonna take $951,000 just to meet this portion. That doesn't count these other funds.
Well, and that's if he gives back the negatives that he's
Yeah.
in. So it could be more.
So-
Now, this doesn't include the attorney fees, right?
No.
This is just the numbers to the
This
sheriff.
is just
Just
what
the
we
numbers
agreed
this
to
year.
for his budget this year.
Yeah.
Why are we funding the Morgan's deputy?
It's in that agreed order.
Well, that's in part of his budget.
That should be, this narcotic officer fund is where that should be.
Well, he's
Okay.
already had money appropriated out of the narcotic officer fund,
Well, Johnny got a good point,
$75,000,
though.
but he
If
didn't.
That's what
Morgan's
that is.
paying that.
But he didn't.
Why
here-
are we paying?
Why are we?
Well, here's the problem. We've already appropriated $75,000 out of that narcotics officer fund, right?
Yes.
But he doesn't include that in the agreement. The agreement only has, he wanted it taken out of general fund, lit public safety, or lit special purpose.
Yeah.
He didn't care which one it came out of. But, so why are we agreeing, I don't understand. If he wants something out of a fund other than those 3 funds, he should have attached different exhibits.
I agree.
I mean, just like the K-9 fund, he
We
said something
should.
about he's not able to get the money out of the K-9 fund. If it's truly donations, I guess I don't really care. But at the same time, I don't see attached to the agreed order an exhibit with a K-9 fund.
And that-
It's not 4.4 million. My understanding was,
Right.
you guys did not want 4.4 million, plus you
Anything
can
else.
take the
Yeah.
deputy, Morgan's deputy out of this
Well,
fund, and you could take K-9,
that's
and you
what-
could use this.
That's what
Commissary's
John's
the only
saying.
one that we
This-
don't have to say
This
over.
Morgan deputy, number 22, and this are one and the same.
Right.
In which we are told that Morgan's Foods in Austin, Indiana pays an amount, which you might look into a contract, I can't find.
So that to me would say, we're not going to fund it. We're gonna take that line out of the lit public safety sheriff because it's already funded and been appropriated under the narcotics officer fund.
Right.
Therefore, we're just looking at appropriating 4.491682 minus $75,000.
What does the order say, or does it say?
It
It
doesn't,
just says this number.
It doesn't give us details.
But
We
he
just gotta
Well,
get
it
that
does.
money.
He attached budget forms as
it says we'll
exhibits.
go by these exhibits, and the budget forms that he attached say from the general fund, the lit public safety, or the lit special purpose. Those are the options we have.
Appropriated so far in 20.
Well, I would assume, I'm taking a guess here, that Morgan Fund's already been paid. I mean, the guy's been working 6 months now.
So,
I called up
no, we
Morgan's
didn't.
a while
didn't
back,
pay.
and they said they haven't.
This is what's
I was
in
told
the
there's no
agreement,
contract.
so.
You
we
told what?
funded.
I talked to someone out of Morgan's manager, and they said they have no contract.
Well, why aren't they paying? If it's for them solely, why are they not paying us back?
Dan McLean started that, I believe,
Yeah.
but
To
I
my
wasn't there confirming that,
understanding,
but I was
it's
told
not
they
for
have-
them. John Morgan just made the agreement, hey, I
I'll
will
pay
pay
for it,
for
yeah.
this debt.
Then why are we appropriating it?
That's what we're asking.
that's the
Out of the
question.
fund, I mean,
That's the
did
question.
the money come in the fund? Cause I don't think this body
Not in
should be
that fund.
if that's the agreement, we're not, I don't think it's legal for the county to provide a private officer. 1, 2, I haven't seen the contract, I don't think it's legal anyways, but 2, I haven't seen the contract. But 3, why would we appropriate it without asking, hey, did we already get the money in so we can appropriate it
Yeah,
back out? Sort of
to
like a
my
grant,
knowledge-
why would we spend grant funds?
my
on
Yeah,
it?
if we're paying that money ought to go to the general fund.
To my knowledge, the
No, we
money
should have been
comes
narcotics
into
officer fund?
that narcotic officer fund.
Is that the
but
copies, Jennifer?
I don't know.
There's only one set, and I cannot even get them to print off with color this time, so I don't know what's going on with my computer.
We're having.
Well, no, that stays together. Hang on, you keep one, that's one copy, Kinley's making the rest.
Say what?
But
That's all
That's all
one
one
set.
copy.
Oh, that's
that's,
mine.
that's been a huge
Somebody.
That's
mystery
yours, who's
that
ever.
I can't shed any light on. Do you know any more about that on the, John has a question.
Well, if I feel like my business needs protection for whatever reason, can I just have a sheriff's officer come sit at my,
Well,
Well, that's not
The-
for anybody
the
particular, he's just
deputy
paying
Morgan
for it.
Foods line
He's just
that he
paying for
requested
us to
71.
to have an extra
960.
deputy? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Well, then that's different.
We already
Now,
funded
that's
the
my
narcotics
understanding.
officer fund, which is the same, one and the same.
I believe that Morgan's does the match. I think the match is in that 71.
So
The
they pay
match.
140 grand for.
No, I think they pay the 70 like you do.
That's 140. If they pay 70 and we pay 70
Okay.
for one
Well,
officer.
and I don't, yeah, I'm,
Well, we've already appropriated,
and I don't know, and I'll be honest with you.
I'll go out there and talk, I'll ask.
I know in the past, we've asked about that, and we've not had much luck getting into Morgan's finding out.
That's us. We can't get any answers either, so.
Well, we've already appropriated $75,000.
Or you know there's no.
In the
contract.
narcotics officer fund.
Not that I'm aware of, not that I have found.
And he only asked for 71.9,
Yeah, it should be.
whatever, so, I mean,
So we
he's
just send
over.
some money in.
Okay, so that's one of those things, we'll put a star by and come back to it.
Goes on. Well, even if all that's out, it'll be probably.
As good as it
something
gets.
enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably something here that tells me how to do it. All right, so we'll come back to that one. Good question though, John. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, it was enlightening discussion.
The
think it is
SRO,
good.
this is the county match portion, is that right? Out of public safety, because the other portion will go
Yeah.
into their.
But you know what,
fund.
I'm not certain why that's the way it is. We have the fund that comes in when SRO pays in.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know why, I mean, because they're using that out of their own lines. They're not an SRO when they are working for the sheriff, basically.
Yeah, basically, they're just a deputy, right?
So I
Well,
don't
then why
know.
didn't he ask for it in his budget?
Well, that, I'm
Because it's not
thinking
gonna get
maybe.
funded, it's not part of the, we've already appropriated though. That 28,210 needs to come back to the county then.
As I said, John had a copy, so
Alright, so that's the other one
Thank
we're
you,
gonna
Ken.
look at. We get better.
John,
Just Mayor.
do you have one?
I can cheat off his, I'm good.
Is there any others that anybody wants to?
So Jennifer,
look at
really
on
what
this
you're
one?
saying is
Or I don't have to.
this makes no fucking sense.
This one's a little address.
They're going up to one, the sheriff.
That moves
So
your
we're up-
stars. Not really.
We are
Okay.
mandated to pay 2 million, whatever that is, more this year.
Okay,
Yes.
this
Do they care
makes
where we
no
do with
sense.
It's not mandated to pay 2 million. We're mandated to pay the difference from this that we originally agreed on to this, so. That's $400,000.
Well, my question is, do we just not just have to give the money and it's his decision from there? Or?
Well, we have to set it in lines and pick what funds, because he has 3 funds that is lit special purpose, and general. So I think we have
Have to
to
decide where it goes.
decide where that goes, coinciding with the auditor, so that she knows how to pay you out
So,
of.
the way I'm reading it, we got $400,000 we gotta figure out where to spend it,
Correct.
approximately.
The problem is it muddies the water whenever you look at, like, we've already overspent overtime for him. The SRO she brought up, that probably, we've appropriated that. He didn't even ask for any in the agreement, so there's $28,000 we gotta figure out. And then
Safety.
the safety, we gave him 2,500, he didn't want any. So same thing here with 20,000. That's what muddies it up.
I'm very, very, very confused now. So what you just handed me has all the funds at the top, meaning it could come out of any of them, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm looking at what was filed just for the first quarter out of the budget. It was filed August 29th, 2024. And it has that we approved 27,527 for the sheriff, right? 27,527. The second round in March, we did an additional appropriation of 27,527. So we've appropriated $55,054 already for the sheriff.
What was that?
Out of lit public safety
It's
sheriff.
lit public safety, yes.
55 what?
You have on here $1,200 approved for the sheriff. What you just handed me has $1,200 approved, and you're telling what you.
No, no.
Okay.
That's the fund that we put them to so that we can
Oh,
pull
so
them
you're not
out.
telling me what?
No.
Well, what I asked for is. What I asked for is in the breakdown you gave us of the two. I said, could you give us a breakdown of what is included in the 2,222,159? So what you're saying is I just have to go through and pick out.
That, and it'll be in
Okay.
this budget, that's what, the location budget that you.
So for instance, 1170 under chief deputy, does that mean you took out the whole 71,500 and that's included in the 2.2 million?
What we did, it's easier for me to explain it this way. What we
Sure.
did is we put it in the location budget. The location budget shows everything we've approved so far. And then we did additional adjustments to put them so that it'll go up. Your total appropriation will be the amount that is in the settlement. Now, you're exactly right that we are over on some things because on this, you only have your lit special purpose, your lit public safety, and your 1,000. So anything that's in the SRO fund, the narcotics fund is not shown in here. So you need to tell me what, because are you going to take that out of something? I don't know.
Jerry's gonna have to pay it back. I mean, it's not part of his budget for the year is 4.49 million, period. I don't care if it's SRO, I don't care if it's Morgan's Foods officer, I don't care. He should have attached that, so I'm gonna have to go back to his attorney. But it still does not answer my question. When we talk, here's what I'm looking for. We have 38,714.51 estimated to be left at the end of this year out of 1170. The appropriation, the total expenditures, I understand 1 million of it is for other locations other than
Yes.
sheriff's. So the other, you're saying the agreed order, 2,220,000 is anything in full, everything here?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay.
And if
I gotta
you-
figure out how, I have to figure out how we're going, and that just leaves the 38,000. So the chief deputy would be paid fully out of here, including what we've already appropriated.
Yes, it's gonna show everything. And if you look at these last 5 pages that you got, that has your location budget,
Uh-huh.
it'll show you the 1,000, it's gonna show you everybody that's paid out of there. It'll show you the original appropriation, the additional appropriations, and then the adjustment is what we would take to move it. Now, you'll see with the sheriff, we moved him out of 1170, we put him back in general. So that's gonna show you an additional of 110, 108 there, an adjustment, because it wouldn't all fit. The raises would not all fit in 1170.
Well,
Well,
let me
this,
ask you this.
this is sort of how I think,
On the total appropriation under his budget, which this is what you're all looking at, how is he already over the court-ordered agreement? If it's 4 million,
we haven't appropriated 4.5 million.
that's what it says is appropriated.
As of today?
Yes.
How do we have that? We've only appropriated like 2 million.
This is putting everything in.
But we've already, so I guess my question, and maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but if we go to, what were you talking about, like that's the jail, you're talking lit public safety, so here's this.
Okay, if you look at the bottom of page 6, your total amount is 4.491682. And that will be everything that is appropriated. Now, we may still have problems because like the safety supplies is showing a negative 20,529 because that was an additional appropriation. We took the adjustment out, but it was still spent.
So like on 1170.
Well, that's things that are
this
gonna be
account,
escrows.
Mm-hmm.
On 1170, dude, the elected official, what's this number? That's what we've already spent out of there? Then did we go put it
Hang on just a
into
second.
another fund?
Yes,
The whole amount?
yes.
How do we do that? Cause we've already spent 55,000. So if we put 110 in another fund, we'd be way off.
And I think that's the
You can
problem.
do
We can't.
adjustments that you can move it back and forth, so
No.
that will put the money back in one and out of another.
No. No, you can't. I think that's part of the problem of what's making this hard to read, is you can't. This council appropriated 27,527 out of public safety lit in August?
Yeah.
We did
Well,
27,527 additional appropriation in March. We appropriated 55,000 specifically out of those public safety lit funds. There is an issue, it needs to come back to the council and ask for a adjustment, a reappropriation. Those aren't line corrections. You didn't take it out of the wrong fund. Line corrections are specifically when there is an error made.
So all
that
I'm
make
trying to do
sense?
is figure out
I
how
understand
we
what
get
you're
from-
saying, I'm just saying it's not all gonna fit the way you wanna do it.
Well, and that's fine, but this council needs to make that decision, I think,
Okay, well-
by resolution. So I think maybe, and maybe I'm off my rocker here, I'm just trying to make this easier. Maybe we go line by line and we say, okay, the chief deputy, we agree, we still have to appropriate 40,258.25 for the chief deputy. Motion, yep, do it, then we're good. I don't think, because we have a court order, the statute says you were to call an emergency within 48 hours. I don't know that since we're under court order, we have to do the 10 days. I don't know that we have to do an ordinance. We can do that July 8th to clean it up.
Okay.
But I think we need to know where we're taking things and what the appropriate amount is. I think these issues of like overtime, he asked for 70,000, we've already appropriated 75,000 for the sheriff's department. That's gonna be a discussion between me and his attorney. And if he wants to take it out of another line to cover it, fine by me. But I think also there were some grave errors made because the K-9 fund, the SRO fund, those were not attached as a object. So he's gonna have to find a way to pay those.
You have absolutely no money for, building maintenance over there?
Yeah.
We've already given him the money for building maintenance. I guess that's between him and the
He didn't
commissioner.
ask for any in the agreement either.
No, because his theory is that's the commissioner's building, they can take care of it.
Well, I tried going over there.
But that was not discussed. Any changes to his prior policies and his prior operations were not discussed and put in this agree order. So to me, he's still on the hook for that. We've already given him $20,000 this year to maintain that building.
And like
So
the
he's got to figure it out.
Morgan Foods that we talked about, this, if we, I mean, I'm guessing we put it, or you guys put it in here, they've already spent some of that, but we just talked about it should be in that narcotics fund, so we shouldn't be paying that out of the lit public safety at all.
I agree because it's already been, he asked for 71,906. We appropriated 75,000 already out of the SRO fund,
So
right?
Morgan-
Or the narcotics officer fund.
Morgan, the narcotic officer, the same person?
That's it, that's what he pays for.
That's
in
not two different
narcotics.
people.
To my understanding, he pays for a narcotics officer for Morgan's Foods, that's the way it's.
From the
Oh,
Morgan's
But we've
Foods.
got it listed as two different items.
Well, he took it, he took it out of the narcotics officer fund. I think he termed it as narcotics officer too, though. Let me look at, I've got too many papers. This is what happens when I get too many papers. I'm like, what am I looking at?
But there again, I don't know, I mean, if there's no contract with this, how do we as a county fund it at all? I mean, there should be money coming in from Morgan's Food. If it's a match, at what percentage do we match? You can't find out, we can't find out, they can't find. How do we not just
I
say,
have this.
you either come to this table and talk to one of these boards or all these boards, or I'm sorry, we're done.
And that's been paid the same way for the last 10, 12
All the
years.
time.
Because I remember whenever they,
Yeah, 'cause when you were over there, they had the same, and it was always to my
Well, it
understanding.
sounds.
Well, that might be something we gotta ask Jerry
It looks to
about.
me like we can do it, we just gotta have some paperwork to back up what we're gonna
Well,
do.
Yeah.
I stepped out the hall.
But I
They
guess
called,
my question
And they
though
said, the last 2 years, Jerry has told Morgan's, to their understanding, that they no longer require it. And so I'll go out to Morgan's tomorrow and talk to the main office.
Yes, so.
I think my confusion is why are we paying for anything at all for that? If it's a donated
Well, I
officer.
think they just paid for half of
yeah,
it.
they pay for half of it.
I think Morgan's, we don't have it on paper to say that though.
That's my point. If
Yeah.
we're not receiving
But
half,
still,
example, I
there's
guess if
no
I go
way
out and solicit a
71,000
business,
is half.
if I solicit
No,
a
one
business,
guy, 71 grand
So-
for half of one guy.
Well,
This-
I
The $75,000 that we appropriated just says deputy out of the narcotics officer fund.
So that's all it pays for, one deputy.
I think that's the way it started out.
I
It might
think
have
what
ended
we
up
need
being
to do is we know what the final number is, we need to come
oh no,
up
no, you're
to.
good. I just don't
We
even
know
why
how
we're
much we
funding
have
something that's
We might
given.
be paying for the whole thing.
I would try to match up line items as close as we
I
can.
don't have.
And I think we have, but
Yeah, that
Jennifer,
leaves you.
we've gotta tell us where we have the money to take it from. And there are some lines that there are confusion about, like what are we gonna do with the extra 5,000? He's halfway through the year. He's already spent 5,000 over his overtime budget from what we appropriated. So those are things I'm gonna need to check the numbers, make sure they're right with Jennifer and Kenley, and then go back to his attorney and say, how does he wanna handle this? Cause he owes us 5,000 from somewhere, so where are we gonna take it from?
Well, if we just line, all of them
I
that
don't
we
know
have,
what the half-
we know we need to clean the lit special purpose every time out of it we can.
Well, and that's what Jennifer gave us, was it shows us what line she took it out of to get down to $36,000.
So here's
So,
a couple of years worth.
We
of
need to
that
go through and
narcotics
just
fund.
do those.
So there's been no funding received though
Let me
from
go check
Morgan,
on that. I can go back and look.
Well, she don't know.
because that
She's checking.
But that's
I mean,
like in previous.
Honestly, when they first did
The
it,
only
I
thing I
thought
see
it funded
is
the whole thing.
previous
full.
to,
yeah.
January
Well, that's what I
1,
thought. It's
23, that was
71,000.
the
I thought that was
receipts.
an
That was,
Since
that's what I thought.
2023,
Have we
I
gotten
don't see
anything?
any receipts.
So that would line up with what the manager said in the last 2 years.
And if that's the
Well-
case, then you.
I mean, we're
So we don't
grateful
need
to
an
get-
officer, Morgan Food, well, I mean, we've already bargained for it, right? Go back to the,
I mean,
is it,
I'm
is it one that he didn't ask
grateful
for?
we got it, but we need to
Well,
know the
No,
details.
I think
the
what
agreement
we're
says we
doing
will
is
give
we're-
him 71,906 for that. But now you're saying there's no match, cause he specifically in the agreement has, I think Morgan match, but they're saying there's no match,
And there's
right?
no contract.
So is it two
It's
officers?
one person, one person.
There's no way.
That's
We
all
just
it's
don't
ever
know
been.
how much Morgan's paying. Were they paying it all or paying half? I always thought when they first did it, I thought.
No,
it was
we
full
know they're
amount.
paying zero according to the
Yeah,
fund.
according to the fund, there hasn't been.
71908.
Quit paying for it.
Is
They want
what-
to keep the position and what
It
doesn't
says
pay for
Deputy
it.
Morgan
I
Food.
think so.
Should be.
I mean,
Match.
that's what's looking to me.
Well, where's the
I
match?
think
Jennifer,
the
I think was
Morgans
going to
needs
look
to be
to
taken
see.
off of it, though, to eliminate the confusion. It's
Well,
just a
what-
deputy.
Yeah,
What you
that's
don't know
what
is
it
sometimes it may not be as simple as just getting rid of somebody. I mean, you're in fire service, they have certain essential service laws.
No, I'm talking getting rid of the Morgan off of it.
Yeah, I know, I
Just-
mean, maybe they're
It's
just
just make it a
done.
deputy.
Yeah.
And now we have to keep the other guy, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or the same.
Well, what we need to know is the
In other words-
75 that we appropriated for the narcotics officer, is that the same as the Morgan's food match?
Or is there any money coming in at all anymore?
Yeah, so I don't understand why he terms it as a match if we're not getting matching funds, but
Yeah.
Jennifer was going to check.
I don't see any.
So again, I really think we should look at the lines that we have agreement on, that we know we have to add that up to what's already appropriated, and when we get to 4.9, those little
So you
things on the
need-
back end, then,
Whatever it is, we gotta, need to stress, we're grateful to Morgan's for,
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that.
yeah, that just, we gotta be.
No, I mean, if I go out and solicit a
Is
business
there
for a
a way
fire
to
truck
look at,
and they pay for it,
receipts by
I can't turn in an invoice to
payee?
the city and say, hey, you need to pay for this. Well,
Like,
it's already been paid
to,
for.
to just go
Why
in
are
and see
we
if
paying for
Morgan's
something
has
that's already
given
been paid
us
for?
any money.
Makes no
Has
sense.
it been paid?
Is it a
I
true
mean-
match anymore?
Somebody's paying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be your view by receipts, and you could look up
Morgan.
Morgan's, but I mean, that's what I do when
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything from Morgan's?
not specifically.
So,
Well, maybe the contract's just over.
Yeah,
what
maybe.
do we do to get something moving in the proper direction here?
I think we just gotta go line by line and figure out where we're taking it from and what's still owed to be appropriated. We leave those items that are over, or he did not ask for the agreement that we've already appropriated, and go back to his
The
attorney.
problem is, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kinley, but with this being put in here like it is there any way to know what's in the lit public safety? To do that line by line? and
Yeah,
put it in there?
that's what she gave us. She gave us this that shows out of, what my question was to her is, if you're, so if we're talking about 1170, she has 2.2, a little bit over 2.2 million, coming out. And she has given us this list to show us what is coming out. So anything that says 1170, so like, the total amount of 71,500 has already been put forward. The total amount of the matron, so chief deputy matron, I mean, she's told us what she's taken out of there.
So,
And that would include the prior appropriations plus what we still need to appropriate to get to that number. So like, we know out of lit, 1170 is what, lit public safety?
yeah.
The remainder for the chief deputy, the remainder for the matron, the remainder for the deputies. The Morgan food
I guess-
match, I want more answers on.
I guess the way I look at it, Kinley, is if we had in October, whenever we did budgets, and a few of you guys weren't here, but we had that board over in dispatch, and we went through lit public safety, and we wrote a number, and then that number would have been split in quarters, so half of that should have been appropriated, the other half should be sitting in lit public safety. Then all we
She's
would
saying
have to
she's
do-
already done that though.
We have those pictures somewhere.
Yeah, I can give you all them.
Because we photographed that board over there back in,
Well, and I think that's part of the problem. We shouldn't already be putting those in as a adjusted appropriation. We need to know true numbers, you know what I'm saying? So they can make the decision of what fund it should come out of.
Right, I mean, this takes 1 minute to
Yeah, just
go
delete
back
it
to
all
normal,
out.
but this is the cleanest, clearest version that
Yeah.
we can provide.
because.
I don't know that I believe anything.
For the sheriff, according to what I have, Johnny, you correct me if I'm wrong, but on that board would have been 427,100.
She has estimated receipts at 3.3 million.
Is that what you're showing though?
I'm still looking for it.
Oh, you're talking about your first quarter?
Or no, that would have been what we did in back then.
I'm at highway.
What was the date?
Lit special purpose, I've got,
not special purpose, it would be public safety.
Okay. And keep looking then.
And as far as the SROs, the school would have done 139, 521, 60, and the county did 62,009, 60. That's how the SROs would have been budgeted. I'm glad I didn't.
What are those numbers, JR? I'm sorry.
That's what the SROs, this is what Scott District 2 schools pays, that's what the county pays.
And what it, but we just
somewhere-
appropriated
Yeah,
28,000?
Yeah, that's not gonna work, cause you have to have that amount to get to what it costs for them. If what we did was, that was based on exactly who he told us was there. Lit special purpose, I'm just gonna write another number somewhere so I have it. It was 1,684,500. That was lit special purpose.
No, so I'm looking at the original budget. He asked for $225,000 for 3 resource officers. We gave him 14,105 in the original budget, which means we would have given him 14,105 in the March also. So that's how we came up with the 28. But he asked for 0 in the agreement.
But I think, I mean, this part don't matter because that's what the school pays. But that part, I think, is what the county match would be on SROs as well.
Well, I've got the lit special purpose pulled up here if you need
Is
it.
that the number what you have? 1,684,500.
I've got $1,579,500.
You're gonna hit the AC again, or maybe it's stuff moving. I'll pay for it. Somebody tell me how we started. Let's do something.
Right here it is if you wanna see it.
Yeah, I got it too. But then I think we went in, like this number, I think doesn't include deputies, because I think we went into those afterwards, didn't we? I got a photo on there.
Well, I think what Jennifer suggested after, and what she put into the numbers out of public safety is the remainder of the chief deputy, the remainder of the matron, the
Here,
remainder of the deputies, the remainder of the part-time deputies. She put in the Morgan food match, but I think that's something we're gonna have to ask
So,
about. The investigator,
the matron, the deputy, it's all, and then this one you got questions on.
the jail commander, the part-time jail,
That's it on
the jail operators.
there. That's the jailer.
Well, I don't, 8
Haven't
plus
we?
6.
Didn't we appropriate some part?
We did, and that's what this other, my spreadsheet's about. So, for instance, Jennifer has accounted for, in that balance of 38,000, she's accounted for a total of 71,500 for the chief deputy. We have already appropriated 31,241.75, so we need to appropriate the additional 40,258 to meet the agreement for that line.
So, and that's what this shows here, right? 71.5 is the agreement. That's what we have to appropriate for it. These are the two that
Correct.
we've done.
Yes. So I think that you
And then
can,
on this side, this is what's been spent. That's what's left in there. And the percentage of what we unspent or not spent at this point.
So to get the ball rolling, what do we need? Just a motion to
well,
appropriate that?
one, I think if we're going to do, I think we should do ordinances on them on the backside. I think you've already really done the paper,
Well, I was gonna say, if you're
internal.
gonna follow this, I can get you ordinance or resolution for
Well, I don't know that.
next week.
I mean, I think that
I don't
if
have them for tonight.
Jennifer is telling us that with what she put in there, that public safety's pretty much done. I think the only other funds we can dicker with is special purpose, right? Because
Yes.
it's got about 765,000 left.
So is there
But-
anything in,
I do have questions, cause you've got, in 9123, I think you do have 71,000 budgeted there. That's for the investigator, but it's also showing in here too. So do you, the 9123, I don't think you can take that out.
This investigator shows 56,660.
I don't show that we appropriated 90, where are you saying we appropriated it from?
Let me go get a budget from last year.
He asked for $75,000, we gave him nothing in the submitted
He didn't have
budget.
an investigator because he told us at budget time,
He didn't need
he
to.
didn't have one. Jacqueline quit, he didn't have anybody, and they were just gonna work without it, because that originally was her grant that he didn't redo. The grant went away, so we didn't fund it.
And that was paid for by a grant, you're right.
100% a grant.
And they didn't
He
apply
didn't
for it.
reapply for it or whatever.
Well, didn't the
It
prosecutor's
went away.
office apply for that though? Wasn't it their money?
No,
So let me ask
it was
this.
through ICAC.
Let me ask
But
this.
the prosecutor's office
Maybe
applied
you
for
would
the
know.
grant.
This stuff for the jail in public safety,
It
if
started
there's
out,
still
okay, I thought
money
it
in
started out.
special purpose, why would we be spending it out of public safety instead of over there? Cause I think what I seen said that there was like,
Cause I don't see,
somewhat 700 or something gonna be in special purpose at the end of the year. So I don't know why we wouldn't have taken,
I mean, you can move that, it's just, are you gonna pick and choose which ones you wanna move over? Cause we
Yes.
just moved, I think we have
I mean,
all
you
the
could almost,
salaries.
which ones did you guys put in here? This one?
yes,
So I mean, how much is gonna be left in it? You could almost- I mean, you could
765.
almost put 340 over there and leave 340,000 in public safety that could help 911, prosecutor, or other people.
Well, and that's what you guys need to be deciding is one, how much do we need to appropriate for each line? And where do you guys want it appropriated from?
I think-
Jennifer has given you suggestions, but ultimately the authority rests with you where it's gonna come from.
I think we need to move everything into the special purpose we possibly can, every
Well, and that's
dime
one
of it.
question, because these are obviously jail items
Yeah.
that are being paid out of 1170. You could technically put them over there,
I think
using
every
up that
dime,
fund,
I think every dime of
leaving
that
money
needs-
in.
But we don't have enough money. We only have 767,000, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah, so
7.
you're gonna have to. something.
Those three lines would wipe out the whole lit public or special
And
purpose.
that's.
If
what
you
we
move those
need to
three
do.
lines. Okay.
If you guys read when I send all this to you and the location budgets, you know, I did have questions about what do we do with lines that he didn't ask for that we've already
Right.
spent the money out of.
Well,
What do we
those
do
are
with
things
that?
he's gonna have to tell us what to do. We're gonna have to go to his
Understand
attorney.
that. But one thing I thought is you put $225,000 in the general budget for jail utilities.
Right,
Well, that would take another 25 to make it to the
250.
250. You could actually move that back into the lit special purpose. And I don't know if I have that number with me right quick because I don't think I printed off the email. But that's going to leave you I think right at 5 something in lit special purpose, which I do believe we're required to have 2 payments left in there.
Which
And then-
doesn't that go away with the change of Senate Bill 1 anyways?
That I'm not sure about.
Because if all the lits go away and they all combine, I think we would have an argument there that,
Well, my
So,
thing is,
if
I
we
think
have a-
that might be part of the bond agreement instead of a lit thing.
the lit-
Well, if there's anything
But the
on a
lid's
fund
going
like that,
away.
then it
The
probably
lit
needs to be
might go away.
noted.
That, yeah. What did you say?
I said, if there's something on a fund like that and you're giving us the numbers of what we have left to spend, we probably needs to be noted that we have to keep, you know,
My
X dollars.
understanding from being in
So-
Indy this weekend is if you have a bond that's related to lit, and I think you heard this too, and you did, all you have to do is make sure that whatever lit you're bringing in, that's your minimum. So if we have, you know, it went up some, what was it, Jennifer, like
It went-
430?
Hang on, I've got that
440
paper here,
maybe?
just a second.
For the sake of math, let's say it went to 440,000.
It's
Then
not,
whenever you look at lit shares for the county, that has to be your minimum, no matter what. You have to bring that amount in to meet that bond. Then you can decide if you want to up lit or leave it alone or whatever. But if you have an outstanding bond they said your bare minimum has to meet the payment of it, no matter what. So you can't sit here and vote, I don't want a lit, and then you have an outstanding balance. So that was the way they explained it to us at that conference.
Well, that doesn't mean we can take that down to zero though.
And you gotta realize January 15th of 26, you're gonna owe 216,000. And I had missed, the 216 started in July this year. It's not the 20, I thought it was the 215.5 was January and July, but it's actually July and then January.
And then it goes
So-
back down again. It's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
goes
a
back
weird
down, on
bond
7/15
schedule.
at 26, it goes down to 213.5.
Yeah. So, alright, so if we did free up the general at 250, which some of this has been spent, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be
Yes,
harder to
yeah.
unappropriate and reappropriate.
So do we just put
Paperwork.
the difference in here?
You could do that,
You can.
and I believe we can do adjustments on that.
Cause, I mean, I'm fine with using that, freeing up general money, fine with that. That would leave 500,000 roughly in there. And then we got 200 coming out in January. Do we wanna take the gamble, take anything else out of this, or are we just gonna leave it?
I think we ought to take everything out of that lit special purpose we possibly can to keep money in the general that we can use for anything. And if you need money,
The only thing that meets that bill is that one right there. That
It
goes
was
to general.
260.
what's that?
The
250
only
is
thing
what?
that goes to general that you can take
Utilities?
out is
No, what we
this,
have to have.
the utilities for the
The
jail.
bond payment.
Which that's the
216.
total requested. Now, some of that's been spent, obviously, but that's the only thing that meets what you're saying, take out of, special purpose and give it to, or put it in special purpose and free up the general. It may be on there.
So if you
Is that the only thing,
So here's
period, or
utilities
is that
right
the
here.
only thing on that page?
Here's utilities. So we have spent $103,814 so far. Okay, it has to have 250 for the agreement. So really, you could do the math and be 147,000 roughly could go in special purpose if you so choose.
Well, so other than what she already has coming out, the balance would be 765, and we have to have 216 in there, correct?
In January,
Yes,
Okay.
which
That would be
let
549,
sheriff roll in
791.
again in January, right?
Left.
they will, but not before, we have to have it at the end of December, because that's due January 5th.
So we have to at least
That
have.
bill will be paid
So
in
we should have
December.
2 payments?
No, we should at least have the 216,000.
Well, that would give you
That gets
549,
paid.
791 to play with.
That gets paid January, she has to send it out into December. Then lit starts rolling in again for next year, so then you can budget that same amount for July out of what you take in. So, what's anybody wanna do with utilities? Leave it in county general? Move
I'd move that.
147K to special.
That's exactly what I'd do with it.
Alright. Anyone
We can move it.
We can. Everybody good with that one? You wanna make that move towards 147,000 to special purpose for utilities of the jail?
Does that get us a little closer to where we're supposed to be?
$147,000.
Off of that 400 or whatever it was? Okay.
Yes and
I
no.
mean, we're asking questions, sometimes I'm sitting there wondering, we even know where we're going.
Technically, we have to appropriate $2 million plus 400,000
So-
more for the agreement.
So I just wanna make sure on utilities, what your motion is, and what we're going to be doing paperwork wise in July, Jennifer, is that you want to reappropriate from the general fund, $225, that was $1,000, that was already appropriated general, to the lit special purpose, as well as an additional 25,000 for utilities out of lit special purpose.
That's not what you were saying, right?
No.
He was saying, we've already spent this amount right here.
Oh, 103.
So add, from that part spent out of county general, so roughly 147, whatever that adds up to be, you can do that. final math if
146,
you want.
185, isn't that
This,
plus another 25?
no, cause
That
it's
would
in here.
include that.
Okay.
It's in here. So this amount right there can
So-
go to lit special purpose.
So really what you wanna do, since we've already appropriated $225,000 out of general, we've spent 103,814 and 80 cents, right?
Yes.
So you wanna reappropriate 121, 185.20 from general to lit special purpose, right? Or do you wanna unappropriate that? You wanna unappropriate,
You're saying
Out of general.
leave what we've spent, right?
yes,
Yeah,
Then we just
Yes.
need to take the 146,185.20
but I'm saying
to
you've
be
already,
spent out of,
you've already appropriated 225 out of general. We have to unappropriate to, what is it, 121?
120.
And put that money, it needs to be freed up out of general. And then you're gonna move 146, 185.20, you're gonna appropriate that for special purpose. Because right now, you have 250, or 225,000, and I keep looking at the 250. We've appropriated, you guys have appropriated legally $225,000.
correct?
You've spent 103.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we just go reappropriate 146 out of lit special purpose, you still got 200 or 120 whatever $1,000. So you've got to unappropriate the general
difference
fund.
between
You're not
this
moving
and
it,
that.
you're basically unappropriating the difference between 225 and 103, and then you're doing an additional appropriation of 146 out of lit special purpose.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
We can do that.
I don't know how we unappropriate, on paper, I don't know if we do that by resolution or
Pizza.
however we're gonna do it, but let's create a paper trail.
Hang on.
I'm out.
I'm just, well, I mean, we're going so fast, that's hard to keep up with this. Some of you guys.
We've been here an hour already and we've done one thing.
Well, and a minute ago, we was moving $174,000, and now we're not. I think, whatever the number was we gave a minute ago.
I think what has kind of muddied the water, I guess, is
Yeah, everything.
we're looking at it in, I mean, it's easier just to set a budget, I agree, but that's not what we have to work with. But like this, instead of looking at it as a appropriation column, this is more of the agreement, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Exactly, yes.
This is what this council appropriated back last year, was adopted November 1st. That's what he was given, that amount. So anything in between is either went in or out, because if it has quotations on it, it's been taken out of that, right? And moved somewhere else. So this is what it takes to get from what we to what he wants. So I think Heather's right. She's saying we've put
If you
this
don't-
amount in order to use that amount out of it, you gotta unappropriate the rest of that, which is this.
So-
and stick it over in lit special purpose to free up money in general.
Yeah, if we did not unappropriate the balance, so we've already said here's 225,000 out of general. We spent 103 of it. Now we wanna say, no, we wanna pay utilities out of lit, special purpose, right? So if we say, okay, we're just gonna we're gonna appropriate the remainder of the 250 that we haven't spent to lit special purpose, the remainder of that 225 that's appropriated but unspent
It's still laying there.
is still sitting there, and now it will roll over and revert at the end of the year. But let's say Andrew needs $120,000 for new computers to get his new computer program up and running.
You're not gonna see it.
We're not gonna see it because it's appropriated but unspent. Does that make sense? So you wanna unappropriate what you're not used out of the 225 from the general to free that up for general use. We still have to appropriate 146,000 to meet the agreement. So we need to appropriate that out of special purpose. Kinley, are you with me? Is it,
I'm-
okay.
And we're gonna have to probably do this. for
It makes sense
every
in my
month.
head. Does that make sense in yours?
If it makes sense to you,
No, well, it's important that it makes sense to these
you
ladies
know better than I
too.
do.
I mean, if it's easiest, I can make changes as we go. I don't know. so you can re-pull the reports also.
We need to keep as much money in the general fund, I think, as possible.
Which makes more
Because
sense to
every
more people.
department in the county can use it.
But I think that Jennifer and Finley have went through and made some good ideas of
And
what,
everybody would.
maybe that's where we start. Lit public safety and lit special purpose, they've made some good ideas of how to take the money there. And then we look at what's left and say, okay, what have they suggested we take out of the general fund and where can we take that somewhere else? Does
So-
that make sense?
Yeah.
What do you wanna go to?
Cause they don't wanna take stuff out of the general fund if they don't have to.
No,
right?
that's exactly, I'm
But
trying my
now
best
we
to
just
save
freed
the
up
general
100
fund.
and-
But I still had questions, like I said, on this, 9123, which is his budget, and this is from your original budget, you've got 75,000 sitting in there.
What's 91?
I think that's your, deputy or investigator in Morgan's match,
No, that was the narcotics.
narcotic.
We think.
Oh, yeah, that's the
And
narcotic.
has he spent any of it? Because that was not a request from him in the agreement.
Showing what
No,
we
this
got.
was just what was originally budgeted.
Right, that's what I'm saying, can we unappropriate that, but what else can he spend the narcotics
And that's
officer
what I'm
for?
thinking, on this, we need to look and see what we can do. I don't know if there's any of the lines there that he's asking for that we can move to this fund possibly or something.
Well, not by the terms of the agreement, because the
Okay.
terms of his exhibits say lit special purpose, lit public safety, and lit general. And I have some theories about that, but I can talk to you about that later.
That we know we
Okay.
can do. Knock it all out and, let us
So-
know when we get to it.
Where do we wanna start? Do we wanna start?
We said, where do you wanna start?
An hour ago, we said that.
I'll go wherever. I mean, I'm just trying to.
I know.
Here's the deal, I've sat in my office and I've worked out what I thought needed to be done. You guys sit here Friday, never said a word to me, just asked some questions. Now you're
I
throwing
did.
these numbers and asking me what I'm supposed to do.
we
I
did
have
These
no
numbers?
idea.
I
Yes.
just
We
got
didn't
these
know
numbers,
that you
those are
said
your
your
Friday,
office
right?
did this.
She absolutely knew, she
So-
was in there 2 or 3 times while I was working on
That
it.
you were working on location, but I had no idea what you were working on, I just asked my
I told
questions
you.
that I
Yeah,
needed.
because I said I'm trying to work on this.
Well,
now.
either way, the.
I don't,
duty
I
of
didn't
a
say
county
that.
council is.
I
to
got
do
this Friday, right?
It's our
Yeah,
responsibility.
Yeah,
and
that's
we
what I
have
got
to
done
vote on
Friday
it.
afternoon.
Yeah.
So, irregardless, it's our duty, our responsibility as council members to answer for all these dollars. So,
Okay.
we gotta figure it out
Well-
some way, somehow,
I still say we start with, the chief deputy.
okay?
You have that coming out of 1170, which is, public safety.
Yep.
And I think we all agree, we've already appropriated 241.75, so we need an additional appropriation out of, public safety of 40,258.25, right?
Those numbers don't matter yet.
$40,258.
Okay,
And lit public safety. So
Alright.
are we all on board with that?
yeah.
Okay. I think matron, we have appropriated 25,750 out of 58,365. 32,615 needs to come out of 1170.
Okay,
Are we all in agreement with that?
yep.
I know.
Deputies.
At the bottom.
We've appropriated $275,000 out of $600,100. We need to appropriate an additional $325,100 out of lit public safety.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move down to the merit board. Jennifer has that coming out of general, so let's wait on that, okay?
It wasn't here, but does this mean, just for clarity, does this mean you took the entire 2,000 out of lit public
Yes.
safety?
Yes.
Moved it to general?
Yes.
Okay. So then the next would be the jail commander.
Alright, jail commander,
I'm trying to get my papers together.
15,621, 2 times.
Yeah, hold on a second. I wanna make sure I'm going by Jerry's budget too, make sure I, 1140,
There was a
1140.
time that was paid for out of a grant. I don't know if it still is.
Okay, so the
It used to be
jail,
paid out of misdemeanor fund.
The jail commander.
the jail
It used to be paid
commander,
out of misdemeanor fund. But
We
there's
have
nowhere near
appropriated-
that amount of money in there.
we have appropriated 241,241.75 out of 71,500. So we need to appropriate 40,258.25. Do we, Jennifer has it coming out of public safety. Do we wanna hold that and see if we wanna do that under special purpose?
She's only got 4258. Is that gonna be?
$40,258.25.
Does the 25 cents gonna matter?
Yes. If it's
Well,
low.
actually, if you take his salary of the 110,108, which is not correct either, and you take it times the 65%, it does not add up to the 71. It ends up like 71,570 maybe.
I don't care about that. He just said 71.5 in his agreement.
That's what I'm
right?
saying, yeah.
So,
So I think it needs to be do we want to, here's the thing though, she has it coming out of lit public safety, do we want to do it out of special purpose?
Yep. If it can be.
anything in the jail can.
Well, okay, I want to go back to Jennifer's numbers first, so, I've got too many papers, I've loaded up. So if we take everything out of special purpose that she has in her suggestions, and she gave us an estimated cash balance of $765. If we keep 216 in there, that only gives us $549,791 to dicker with. So what I want to do is keep a good balance on that. So $749,791.29, and then if you want to take the jail commander.
Are you just gonna take the difference? Or are you gonna take the whole amount?
The original appropriation for jail commander, where was that out of?
15,621, 2 times out of lit public safety.
I would just take the remainder out of
So
public
we're
sector.
We're gonna take $40,258.
Yes.
Out of lit public safety.
And 25 cents.
All I care about is getting the 71,500, if that's what's on that agreement, not the 25 cents,
Okay.
whatever.
So on the jail commander, you wanna leave that in public safety?
Yeah, but we've already appropriated 31,241.75, and, right?
Don't look like we did any quarters, according to this.
We did. Just a moment, please. So the original budget, I can find it in all my madness here.
I mean, unless I'm,
First quarter budget, the jail commander was given $15,620.75.
so how'd that go to 15,621?
Because we did an additional appropriation
The second one.
in March of 15,621. So that's where I'm getting the 25 cents. We only gave him the first quarter $15,620.75. The additional appropriation in March,
I give him a corner.
so I don't think that's where's the jail commander on the line?
Right here.
See, I don't think that's right because, oh yeah, 15, yeah. So she just put 15,621 for both of them? Even though
That
we
was
didn't
the
approve that?
original,
Okay.
plus the second quarter, or the first quarter.
Well, no, but the original was $15,620.75 is
Oh, yeah.
what I have on what was filed, so whatever. If she's already,
So we're within a quarter.
whatever.
Moving right along. Whatever it takes to get to 71.5.
All right, well, hold on a minute, cause I wanna keep good track of what's still left in that special purpose budget for you.
Everybody good with moving that to special purpose?
I think so.
I think so. Alright,
29
So we're moving
minus
that over, right?
40258.
That's the first one moved over so far.
second, I think.
What's the first one?
The other one was the.
Okay, so now we're at 509, 533.29 is what I get.
Alright,
Okay,
so we got jail commander taken care of. Next thing in there is part-time, which was
Yeah, we
nothing in
did that.
the original,
I think it's
100,000 in the
58,
other,
what I understand.
for a total of 400, so we're doing $300,000 in part-time jail.
Lost my mind. What is it?
$300,000 additional in part-time jail.
Somebody might say, what's that?
I'd say it's probably not out there.
what are you talking about?
Part-time,
For the jail?
yeah, jail has to be 400,000.
400,000.
So we give him 100, 300,000 is what he needs now.
Wait a minute.
So they've got that in public safety. That should have come out of special purpose because it's all jail
There ain't
related.
that much money
There ain't
here.
gonna
So we need 300,000.
If you do the utilities in the jail commander, you probably didn't take everything out.
If you took you have 509 to deal with in the jail.
take 300, you barely, you wouldn't have enough to meet that 216 payment.
No, that's with the 216 taken out. So Jennifer says, would you check my mouse, somebody that's
Why
good with
don't you
math?
tell us what you want, we'll go put it in the system and add it up that way.
Well, we are telling you. So we want, I think we've already went through,
So
we want the
300
unappropriation in general, and then the utilities going to special purpose, right?
Yeah,
We're gonna take your suggestion on
several of them.
sheriff, or, chief deputy, matrons, and deputies out of public safety. And then we want to take the jail commander out of special purpose, which is 1114.
Okay.
Cause here's where I'm at. She estimated 765 left, minus 216 is about 550,000. And then we took the 258 remaining on the jail commander, that leaves us about 509, 533.
If
That
we
in-
use the utilities, I think that's where we're gonna have to stop at if we do that. You
She
know
had the
Yeah.
utilities in there,
Yeah.
from 7 went down to 550, and then she.
No, that was with the 216.
That's for the payment.
So
The payment.
are we, I thought, wait a minute, I thought we were doing utilities out of public safety.
No.
Okay, you went out
Special
special purpose,
Yeah,
okay.
for the special purpose.
So you don't wanna run that down any further, but you got it.
No, no, no.
We need to run that down every time we can, cause all that can be
You're about
used
there.
for.
About
You
that.
have to have $216,000 at least at a bare minimum left.
So
that's-
146,
That's 300,
185.20 out of there for utilities.
less than five, that leaves you about $50,000.
40,000, 258 for the, jail commander.
146, 185 is what I had, right? We've 146, 185.20 should be an additional appropriation from special purpose for utilities, right?
Yes. And 40,000, 258 for the jail commander.
So 40,000, yeah, I got that. 146, 185.20. So you're at 363, 348.09 on her estimates in special purpose.
So if you move that 300 there into it,
Then you're at zero and you have no cushion at all.
You know, not,
You can't do that.
but we can fund anything that we can fund out of that, we could fund out of the general if we
this
need.
wouldn't help general, this would be lit public safety.
But what I'm trying to do is free up money that we can use for other things instead of leaving a big chunk laying in lit special purpose that we cannot get to for anything. No matter what kind of an emergency comes up, we cannot get to that
I
money
agree, I mean, I
except
understand
through
that.
this,
I
right now. If we leave $1 million laying there, it's $1 million you can't get to use for anything else except jail stuff. If you pay other things with that money, you can always
This
use
is all
jail.
the jail stuff that we have in special, public safety, correct?
Say that again.
These are all the jail that's in public safety, right?
Yes, just your, just.
Is there any others in general?
The only thing you had for the jail in general in your original was the utilities.
But did you put anything in
Yeah, I did.
jail? So, I mean, you can move some of these small ones maybe if you want to, John.
Now, what I put in
Got
jail
these
from
Right
general,
here, all in, going into general, that would be jail stuff. I mean,
We'd have to reappropriate it though.
that's what we're doing now. I'm just saying, if he's wanting to free up,
But I mean, if it goes
Money.
in general, wouldn't we have to reappropriate it back at some time? It's just,
Well, even if you leave it in public safety, that's stuff that you can get to for other, because there's a lot of things in the county that we can use,
I just don't wanna
special
run it down to, I
purpose.
don't wanna run it down to absolutely nothing. If you wanna run it down some, we can, but.
Right now, I'm 363 on her estimate with the
I
bond
mean, you
payment.
could
and
just
everything
about
else
take
like that.
probably this kind of stuff and be safe moving that to it, free that up in general. Would everybody feel comfortable with that? Because here's, your question was, would we have to reappropriate?
if you put it in general, yeah.
But she put that in there, so she could take it back out,
Mhm.
cause it hasn't been
It's not
spent.
been a
So
problem.
without
not
coming back to
expense.
us, you could just put it
Yes, back into general.
without.
we did
having
that
to
to show you how to.
Yeah, so if she did that, I mean, you're talking right here, it's $163,000
But it's still gotta go back for those purposes though.
in special purpose.
Yeah, but if you look, he's expended 99,000. All right.
Yeah.
True.
So you would only really have to move 50,068.
This.
But I don't, are we
see-
looking at the same overtime? Because I only have an appropriation of $20,000.
That's the jail overtime. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I have the $50,000, well, was that out of general?
This is county general. I scrolled up to it, and that's what general.
I had that on the appropriation as sheriff's overtime. Because then we're in real big trouble because he wants, he spent 75,000, or, I guess not, okay.
What's the,
That makes no sense to me, I don't know where the 50,000, because I thought the appropriation,
what's the agreement say for jail overtime?
I just don't see any advantage whatsoever.
it's 150,000 for jail overtime, he spent 99, but my question is on the appropriation, but I'll look it up, I'll find it.
I don't see any advantage.
Well, I think the problem is
In
that,
a fund that we can't use for nothing but the jail,
Yeah, I get
when we're
that.
trying to.
oh, well, that one didn't pass.
Build a cushion.
So are we gonna just leave these in general? Cause it's already been.
Well, I'm reading that, it ain't $150,000 we got 50,000.
Yeah, cause he's already spent 100 of it.
And that's just for 6 months.
And I think. it's
So we're
already-
talking not 150,000.
But here's what I think is gonna make his difference. Whenever you go down here to, like, deputies times 10, wherever we put that, there's gonna be a bunch of extra money in that because he's already spent 6 months worth at the rate they were being paid. So there should be a whole bunch of money sitting that I'm sure they'll wanna move around. So roughly 300,000 in special purpose. Do we wanna move anything else or we wanna not? Final answer. Are we setting that the way it is?
Had special purpose, I swear I'd take every dime out of it I could.
And you can still pay the bills
There's,
up to $50,000 more. Or somewhere along the line, okay, we're still gonna
if
come
you
up
did
more.
part-time, we spent roughly 100,000 of that. That would be right at 300 there. That would go in it, which would run it down to like 60,000 bucks in there. Is that what? What's everybody's flavor? What are we gonna do? It can't, I will agree, it can't be used for anything but jail, where public safety goes to a lot of other people.
No, I agree.
Alright,
Well, that was my concern, if we went back to general, but apparently I'm wrong. It still has to go back to pay the utilities or whatever we have to pay. Once it's in the general, it seems to me like it would open up a catalog of, we could spend a lot of different directions.
Exactly.
Well,
Anywhere.
That way I understood it,
You
though.
go anywhere in the county.
I misspoke myself a while ago when I said in the general, it could actually be in the list.
Text me if y'all want something.
Public safety is where it's gonna lead it
Do you have any
We can
alcohol?
move it there?
I got some at the house, swing by.
No. I don't drink. I don't know if you know that, I don't drink, I'm just kidding.
I think, what do you call it whenever you unspend something and spend it again?
Adjustments.
So, corruption. So,
And I can call state board of
Fraud.
accounts and see, but I think that we can unappropriate in one and put it back in the other.
cause I'm just saying, I think I would feel comfortable for sure what you put in these lines. Because we haven't even voted on that yet. So I think for sure we could unspend it here and move it over here. And then if you took it, like Johnny's saying, this $300,000 and you took it out of where she has it in public safety, you put it in lit special purpose under the same part-time line, move it to there, that frees up $300,000 in public safety that you can then use for other departments. That's the only thing we're.
Well, no matter what we do, where we
And don't
move it,
give
we still
nobody-
gotta pay those
You
bills.
still have to pay it.
And
We're
look
just
to me like
deciding-
we're gonna pay more than $50,000.
You're just
What I'm saying,
deciding
half
what-
years.
Which fund are you gonna pay it out of? That's the only
Yeah.
choice you're really making. The
Okay.
choice of paying it is gone.
Whatever's easy, I don't care as long as we pay that bill.
Alright, so,
I'm still looking for that 50,000 appropriation, because the only appropriation I saw for 50,000 Justin, John Miller, or John Collins, John Miller, and Jim
That probably
Ritchie
would've been-
were not here, they were absent.
That probably would have just been the overtime that we
Yeah,
spent
but we did
without-
an additional appropriation, but I show it came out of general for the sheriff, not the jail.
So where was the one for the jail come out of?
I have no idea, that's why I was trying to go back and look through
We're talking
my
about
ordinances.
the court order was, those all went to the general.
Yeah, it all went for the general, but I thought it was for the jail, I guess, or did you just split it up, or, I don't,
Oh, we did. I think that one we did. But that was before it got bigger than that number.
So Heather, what was your number in special purpose left? 3 something.
363, 348 and 9 cents.
So we're talking about taking this 300 out of here, leaving $63,348
Is that
Yeah.
part-time?
into lit special purpose. You good with that change?
I can do that.
Wait a minute, let me catch up for just a second, please.
Well, I got a whole lot.
300,000, you're gonna take that out of
As long as we have that
11.
money there,
Rather
you're
than a
gonna pay for it.
$363,000 cushion.
That technically leaves this plus the 216,000
Right.
for the payment.
Right.
Sitting in there. So we don't touch lit special purpose anymore this year. Everybody good?
And I'm fine with that, Deb.
Let me change it on the million other papers that I have.
I'm real good with that.
All right.
With that, I can figure out how to spend that.
So
other
then the
63.
jailer operators times 16, we appropriated 200, added 200. The total for the agreement was 417,128 for a grand total of $817,128 for 16 jailers staying in lit public safety. Everybody good with that? All right. Where are we going next? Does that wrap up the jail?
No, we still have longevity,
It's in general.
overtime,
It's in general.
overtime comp save.
It's in general.
Okay, so you're good with keeping it in general?
Everybody good with keeping those there? Longevity's $2,000. County general is the one we looked at a while ago, 150 of overtime. The overtime, what's the difference in overtime comp save and why does everybody get $11,000? You might
The
know.
overtime comp save, what I understand is say that I have comp hours built up,
You want
I
cash
leave the
them out.
county, and I want to be cashed
All right,
out.
and I
And we
just
gotta
wondered,
pay
'cause,
it.
like, everybody has 11 grand
They
pretty
do,
much
but-
sitting in it.
So office supplies, she's got coming out of 1114.
Yeah, I can go to that, but I think all of those we're gonna be good with, we can breeze through them pretty quick. So.
So all that's doing is taking money out of that, freeing more money up in the general. correct?
What about this, do I need to adjust this while we're here? Cause you only got 215.5 in it, aren't you gonna be 500 short in July payment?
Yes, and there's an additional for next
that.
meeting. I got that advertised for the next meeting,
Okay,
yes.
alright. So that's just $500, we can take
Right.
that out of the thing, switch it over. We're good there.
Jennifer, he has medical and dental of 35,000, and then he's also got dental service of 7,000. What are the? Do you know what the differences are?
I believe the 7,000 medical services where they come in. Now, the medical dental, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's 7,000's already spent.
I remember asking that question in the budgets, and they had a legitimate reason for it, I just don't remember what it was,
But
Heather.
7,000's 100% gone.
Well, then my question too, also under the jail, is there was an additional appropriation for $7,500 for CO fuel,
That's
but
right
it was
here.
not in the agreement.
Well, that was part of the court order, the original one. And that was not the full amount, that was a partial amount, I think.
Cause this is
Well,
what you,
Yes, but
Yeah,
the
right.
agreement says that it includes all amounts ordered already. So he's gonna owe us the $7,500 back.
Well, if you add that 7,500 with, plus that adjustment, that total appropriation should equal the number that he's asked for. Is that correct? 30,000?
I don't show he asked for anything under the jail CO fuel.
which would be 1114.
Here's fuel up here, 30,000.
CO is court ordered.
Oh, okay.
Court order.
So you put him in as $8,000 appropriated already?
Where that auction was coming from.
Where's that line at, JR?
The only thing I see would be this 7750 that was added.
Well, I have fuel was 500 and then CO fuel was 7,500. So where do we get the two, where are we 250
Okay, the
off?
court ordered is 7,500. And then you had an extra 250, which would have been the second quarter. That made the 7,750.
Uh-huh.
And then the adjustment, I think, is 22,000, and
How
that
much
brings
did
you
he
to
request in the
30,000.
budget? 30 total
It is,
in jail fuel.
In the agreement here?
Agreement.
it was 30,000 in fuel.
30,000.
We gave him 250 though in the original, that's where the
That's what
difference is.
She's got
We gave
250 here, assuming you would give 250 in this one plus
That was 250
7,500.
plus the
But
7,500.
the second quarter, we also gave him 250. So
Yes.
we've given him
Plus
500, right? Plus
Plus
the court order
75.
was 7,500. So
So-
7,500 plus 500
Is 77.
is 8,000.
Plus 250 is 8,000, right?
Okay.
That's 8,000.
Okay, I'm going to the
8,000 and then
bathroom.
22,000 would make it
And then add
30,000.
22,000, we're at 30.
Okay. All right, sorry.
Cause he spent the 7750 already.
Okay. And that's gonna come out of special purpose, sorry.
Yes. And what about, like this office supplies?
So these two
how's it already
lines-
negative? What are we doing
Because they've
there?
overspent.
So I guess that's.
And
I
that's
guess-
the questions
yeah.
I'm asking.
Heather,
These
that's
are
the question
highlighted.
for You,
What do we do?
what are we doing
What's
with
that?
this
Yeah,
one?
you gotta pay
You might not wanna
they're
ask me
gonna-
anything
they're
right
Here's the
now.
deal.
gonna ask to transfer money from sheriff cars or, you know, wherever he
What do you
wants to
mean?
take it
He's
from.
already over
Because,
in
I mean,
office
it's
supply
several
by 11.
Well, he's gonna have to come ask for a transfer of
Safety
$1,184 for
supplies
another
is
one.
over. This one's over, which we have to appropriate more for that, right? I mean, that's all he asked for in the agreement.
That's all he
but-
asked for.
But there is a stipulation in the agreement, though, he understands we have to find money for it somewhere. Okay, so.
Actually, I
I'm just
think
trying to
the
wrap my mind
original
over my fuel.
appropriation on that one was,
Medical and dental are 11, so safety supplies, he didn't ask for anything, but we appropriated $2,500. Where's safety supplies, cause I know you
Right
just
here.
pointed out. We appropriated $2,500, he asked for nothing, and he spent $387?
387.85, so he owes
Okay.
that back. This he needs to figure out.
Wait a minute, spent $387.85.
And equipment maintenance, he needs to figure that out.
Hold on a second, office supplies, I just wanna make sure all of the numbers are right. Office supplies, we've appropriated $27.50.
I think most of this is gonna be pretty simple. They're just gonna have to come in and say,
1370.
Where they want them.
we
I
need to move this much money from.
A to B.
And he only asked for 5,000 in the agreement,
That's just normal stuff.
Yeah.
right?
And then the
Yeah.
question comes, do you need more for the rest of the year and all that, but, then it's come back in again.
But I think to just get everything cleaned up. that's
Well, I
what
mean, we
we're going after.
appropriate up to what the
We can't
agreement
make a
was,
decision
which
on
would be
until we
zero
get a chance
for
to do it.
That's what I've been thinking the
safety
whole time
supplies.
sitting here.
But
Be so
office
much easier
supplies,
sitting here.
we appropriate up to the
Yeah,
5,000, and then I'll have to talk to
Actually,
Matt over
him and-
11.
84.27.
Somebody might have to
What we need to do.
put this out in a nicer order
Sign
for me,
on.
because I will forget. But I don't know why the appropriations are different.
I about made that recommendation earlier.
Jennifer, how much is he already over on things that we already had court orders to do?
well, and here's one right here. Out of 1,000, there was inmate housing that was court ordered for $18,500. He didn't ask for a penny of that, so it's showing 18,500. I don't know where that goes.
Well, that's gonna be on him because what this board agreed to was. a
Okay, what was
lot
the
of
other
money.
line that you had an issue with, equipment?
Equipment repair and
Only so
maintenance
much
is
money, yeah.
$15,000 over.
Yeah.
Well, he asked for 30, our agreement was 30.
He
Okay.
spent 45,000.
He's got like 18.
Send that to me also.
Probably gonna end up having
I think I figured up with the highlighted numbers, we're about
That's
70,000.
some money out of that special
So that needs to come out of.
there's
That's gonna have to be transferred around or
603,000
something. I mean,
Okay, I really need to go to the bathroom and take a break for a minute because I'm
All right.
trying to use my flashlight to take a picture of
Your flash.
I can't do math when I'm tired, and I evidently want to use my
I can't do
flashlight.
math when I'm healthy.
I can't either. I literally went to law school because I was still losing
Good
my
days.
math. Okay, so,
That's
I mean,
it.
I really think I would look over what Jennifer gave you. We've been in agreement except for a couple items to move.
Alright,
She gave you what she suggests you guys take it
Hold on
out.
just a second there, JR. Let me
alright,
get,
But I have so many of the same thing, I'm gonna get so confused as to,
I'll-
okay.
I'll
I
get it
direct by
from you.
location, by
Already
first
done.
quarter, I mean, I've just got too much paper.
I wasn't quick enough.
where did this come from, the $10,000 building repair and maintenance, cause we all said that he didn't ask for anything.
He did not ask for anything, but we did an additional
think-
appropriation.
I think that was maybe like the SNL bills possibly.
That was the building maintenance,
But
it
it's
was,
not been spent.
it was under
right?
jail
Or
other,
That's all been spent,
20,000, right?
Yeah.
so
It's all been
gone.
Wait a
spent.
minute, that's not right
Yeah.
either. We appropriated 20,000 for building maintenance. So, but that only has 10, and he spent 10.
Yeah.
Is there a 10 somewhere else?
Good,
Well, he asked for 0, so, that'd be another thing. Gave him 10,000.
I guess he owes us $10,000, cause he already spent it.
Well, then I would unappropriate the other 10,000.
So, there isn't any more, that just shows it's gone. There's nothing unexpended, is all zero.
Oh, that's right, we didn't appropriate it, so.
So that's all
Building
good.
Maintenance.
I'm
Not
just trying to get
anything.
through the jail. That's all on the jail then, right? And we're down to 1170. So
You mean,
take-
when you say that's all for the jail, you mean that's every line, or that's what Jennifer has expended out of special purpose?
It should be every line.
Did you do contractual services, transport, contractual inmate, dental services, medical service contract?
All that's zeroed out. Where did all that go?
Okay,
Out of
I
what
did-
special purpose?
okay, so you're fine with those expenditures?
Oh wait, here they are. We're good with all these, right?
Yeah, but would we look at the difference and make sure all the appropriations and stuff?
Yeah, that's where we were at.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good on all those, I think.
Okay, utilities, you decided to do that out of
The special
special
purpose.
purpose, right? And then equipment repair, did we do that?
That one you gotta ask them about, cause he's over $15,000.
Okay, yeah, okay. I
You
better send that
wanna-
picture to myself to
You wanna
remember.
do a, additional appropriation for the HIV expenses for July?
It's too late to do it for July. That went in last Friday. It'll have to go to August now, or else a special meeting if you want to do one at the end of July.
15K.
But I had to have them in Friday at noon.
Yeah,
So,
okay. I just think, I mean.
but there's going to be a lot of things. If
Do we
this
have-
is not what we're using, that's fine. But there'll be a lot of things that probably have to be
Jennifer,
changed.
how
Do we
how
have
does
to
he
go-
get over in equipment repair? Like, how does he go over the line? Like, is it just a bill and you say, oh, I gotta pay the bill? I mean, we've had this conversation before, but, I mean, especially now, why are we paying things that are over what he's appropriated?
It's because the appropriation was more and we took less to meet the agreed order.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about building, or not building maintenance, equipment maintenance. Didn't you say he's over by several $1,000s?
15,000.
He is.
So how does that happen? How do the bills
We've
get paid?
appropriated the money, but he asked for less than what we
In
have
the
already
agreement.
appropriated.
He asked for less than what we've already spent.
And the bill came in,
Well, it was appropriated.
There's
We've
more bills,
agreed.
I think, sitting on.
But-
We've
more.
gotten one now that cannot be paid, but there's, I mean, it could be a transfer, so it'll be
Yeah.
up to him to do that.
but the bill was higher than the appropriation.
No. It's been appropriated, but what we did is we made an adjustment to take that total appropriation back to what he asked for.
Mhm. I see what you're saying.
So our
He asked for less
resolutions
than we
say
appropriated.
Yes.
the amount that he spent, but
Okay.
the ask here is less than the amount that's been spent. If that
So-
makes sense, and the amount that's been
Why don't we
appropriated.
take a 5-minute break? If we're done with the jail, everybody can use the bathroom, get a drink, whatever, and then we'll come back and dive into the sheriff's side and hopefully we can agree on the vast majority of it and get it.
Thank you.
Could y'all go ahead and do the jail? Like, you said you could change the numbers, can you do that?
Yeah.
Please?
I definitely need a break.
Y'all can take a break too.
I emailed myself, I took a picture of it, then emailed it to myself, because I will forget.
We were supposed to be able to email from that
I'm
thing.
gonna make sure they can
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to put an email.
So I
Okay.
have
Then they get on the
their
signals.
moving
Yeah.
part-time
I don't think they went.
Yeah, the part-time, 300,000 goes to that.
340,000
Yeah.
for jail moving.
I've lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm not that fat yet. I can fit through that big old hole back there.
I didn't know how much we were back there.
I think I need like sugar.
Utilities.
Yes.
And my.
But only this amount.
Only that amount, got it.
No, I thought that's,
But it didn't get me, when I calculated it, it didn't get me down to the 63,000 that they were saying.
okay, I had the same thing you did.
But just get as close as you can, you know.
And
Maybe
then
we
we'll
gotta
go
leave
back.
that payment in there and leave some money on top of that.
Yes,
So
yeah.
if it's around 60 or 70,000,
Yeah.
whatever it comes down to, we'll be fine. I'll be fine with it. That's what Steve said. Oh, yeah. Well, mine went nowhere near me. Hers was, I was about, they was curved, perfectly curved, but they was nowhere near that big. Wow. They're hauling, them's hard to haul.
Yeah. I got a little, just a 16-foot livestock trailer.
Yeah.
He gets in there, he has no room to move around.
He busted the shit out of it.
And the whole top's all scratched,
Oh,
side scratched.
I got a 16-foot trailer, this went through about 12 years of 4-H, and it needs to be repainted. Cars flat on it. Hey, it sucks when your kids get out of 4-H.
It changes everything.
I just
You-
sets it on it. It just sets it out on it.
Oh, and my head catches, if I had to run a cow through my head catch right now, I'd have to lower it up to WD-40 from.
I don't know though, Saturday I sit down and watch part of that horse show and I'm thinking, thank God I didn't have to get kids ready for
Oh
that
my
this
God,
year.
ain't that the truth?
Oh my God, I thought I couldn't have done
Well, our
it.
middle one, she's dying for a horse, and that's what she wants to do. I'm like, God,
Well,
It is
the cheapest part of it is buying a horse, and that's other than that.
Kendall, the one that lives in Kentucky, she's up here, she got grand champion on her animal poster for education, and she got a grand champion on her electrical board for, her dad built, so.
You know, hey, I did not shut this off. I don't know if I can have Andrew edit it or if I should. Okay, you're on.
Alright, so we're back talking lit public safety for the sheriff deputies now. First thing up was the investigator. The agreement was 56,660, is that right?
$56,660.
Alright, so there was nothing appropriate for it because at budget time he said he didn't have an investigator or a detective, I guess is what this would be, so that's in there now. The deductions, here's what's left coming out of public safety, everybody good with that?
Yep.
Alright, part-time sheriff deputy coming out of public safety, gave 25,000, I think that was a court order, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then, 50,000 for a total of 75. Is that in line with the agreement?
Something like that, I think it is.
Is
Yeah.
that 50,000 other court orders?
Was it a court order on that?
I'm sorry, the
The
50,000.
Part-time?
I don't have any appropriated in part-time.
Was that another court order?
I think
But I
it
only had
was.
50.
Yes, I believe that was the court order amount.
Court order amount.
I think, okay.
So the total is 75, so.
Well, I think because I only had 50,000 being appropriated for jail part-time, remember? But I
Yeah.
think what she did was we did an appropriation that said jail/sheriff, so she probably did 25 in one, 25 in the other.
Okay, so then he asked for 50, I guess, right? What did he ask for in the agreement? Is it
For part-time
75?
deputy, 75.
So we add 50 to get to 75.
Okay.
Alright, we're good with that. I don't think we have any other choice but where it comes from. We briefly went over some of this earlier, but everybody was good with the chief, the matron, the deputies lines. We checked those. Somebody's gonna check on this Morgan Foods thing, right? Well, I think we
I
get
think
to
Elmore
definitely.
said he would.
Well, Morgan Food says they haven't given us any money.
In the last 2 years.
So
No.
what I need to know is that the same as what we gave out of the narcotics officer?
That may have been when Dan
We gave
McLean left.
more out of the narcotics officer.
Yes.
It was Dan.
looks
So,
like,
We gave 75, he's asking for 71,906.
And he spent none out of the 75 we gave him out of the narcotics officer fund, right?
Yeah.
They've only spent 8,000 out of
Jerry
this.
said that he was not gonna ask Morgan's for theirs because
that in there, you
whoever
figure that
it was
out.
had left and he wasn't gonna fill that position. And then there was another one, was a grant. And
And then the line was
they
about
didn't
that.
That was the
apply
girl.
for
Yeah.
So you
And
can take a whole lot
the
of
sheriff's
money out of
office
it.
did up
Right.
half of
You
what's
got
why
that
You still got
basically in there.
So
Okay, I've put myself in up
You
to
got
call.
75,000 in one
We
line.
didn't budget it because of the
Right.
marital.
So
I
then,
do remember on,
we need to go to general for the sheriff. The 140,000 is the sheriff cars line
started to.
that was in the agreement. It's in there at
Apparently,
100%.
they took it.
Uh,
Anyway, it's gone.
Software, we asked for what's the $815? Do you know that? Right here.
Hang on, did we approve
Where are we talking
that?
about?
Software,
I don't have
I
a
believe on
software.
that one.
You know, it's up there on the screen.
Hey, you may make a note. If that Morgan's deputy is something that we've been funding for the last few years anyway, and not been receiving the match, if that's the case, can we just move it from there into the deputy,
Or overtime, or whatever.
just into the deputy fund? Because why would that deputy be singled out
I know,
from the
I've
rest
got lots
of
of
them?
questions.
Well, the
Because
reason it was singled out, I can help you with that one, because Morgan's was
Well, that's what I'm
given.
saying.
Given him
Just- if
10,000,
we're paying for it,
he
just clean it up.
requested
Yeah. Get rid of it.
10,850.
If
We
it's
just
not
move it
being
over.
used, if we're not getting it anymore.
okay,
Yeah, just move it over to
I
the
don't have
deputy
any
line.
software.
If we're paying for it in full.
It's on the back.
Just go ahead and move it over to the deputy line.
Well, I asked about cleaning some
And
things
it's
up one time, and you'd have thought
Right
I had
before,
three
like if
heads.
you go back to the full
budgets.
capital outlays and look up,
All
it's
the
about
reasons
where's
2
his
don't do
budgets
that.
that he did for the agreement? In your dad's.
I wonder why I don't have
It should have
Yeah,
been.
it looks like the last time there was a deposit made into that account
Well, this, he didn't do.
was
general.
4/28 of 22,
Debt service,
that 923 account.
sheriff
And it looks
card.
like,
I don't see her
it was
somewhere.
80, is that right? 80,000,
This is, this would be jail.
$544 and 1 penny.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, something happened, didn't
Well,
it?
it's
10,815.
9123.
Whoever paid it.
Whoever paid it. So I don't know
Didn't he lose his, officer in 23 or 22?
that Schaffner lady.
Yeah.
Is that who?
Jack.
Yeah.
Jake one.
Are we doing that
She
one
said
from,
it's been paid, we don't want more than paid.
I think she did leave in
Well,
23.
he's not, we've not got nothing from that in 2 years.
Right there, that
No, the
amount.
last it
He
looks like
didn't.
was April 28.
Morgan's didn't pay anything for Jack.
I didn't have the rate there.
There's a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally different.
But that's gone too.
Yeah, it was 100% funded. It's gone too.
But who was doing the Morgan's, you, that?
Well, it used to be Paul Clute, but he's left too.
Okay, well, we've not got a payment from him since 2022.
Yeah.
That's what she just said.
Yeah, she said it was 80,000 something paid.
It sounds like the difference between the two is with Jacqueline, the officer left with the funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Morgan's, the officer stayed, the funding stopped.
I think they kept rolling it over to a different person. And
And who knows whether Morgan just decided to do that or nobody asked anymore.
so let me ask you this question. The 18.5 was the inmate housing. So it went
That's
in.
court ordered, it's not part of the.
Right. It went in, it came out,
Yeah, it was paid.
then it was paid 18,450. What's this out? What's that mean?
That's showing you that we've paid that, but that's not, we took out, if you look back here at the adjustment, we took out 18.5 because that's not in the court ordered amount.
Okay.
That's not in this agreement.
So we paid it out of county general though?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Well, we paid 18,450.
It's been paid, yes.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying, that's one of the negative lines there. When you look at the when you look at the expenditure total,
Yeah.
hold on,
But I'm like with James, if we're not getting money from Morgan's, we need to take that money and just roll that back into the deputy.
Right.
If we're already paying it anyway,
I mean,
just
yeah.
shift it over to the deputy line.
But that's just confusion, because, you know,
Somewhere along the line, we apparently knowingly or unknowingly agreed to keep that
Yes.
deputy.
Right, right,
Well,
that's
I
my
guess somebody
point.
needs to ask him if he's gonna,
Well, I mean, wait a
Keep doing
minute,
it.
is it on our salary ordinance?
yeah. It has its own fund, it's on the salary ordinance.
Well, I guess I just don't understand, why are we matching it?
We don't even know if
We don't even
what the
know,
match
we
is.
don't know any.
And I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt, $71,000 is not a match, there's no way.
But somewhere along the line,
But
we
their
had
last
to, whether
payment was
Morgan paid
80.
or not, had to accept it. And
That
it-
has
which I think would be the whole salary.
That has to be two officers though, right? $140,000.
We don't
Like
have
35,000 match.
benefit.
I got it.
Make it,
Yeah.
make it 70. But now, the way it looks like, we're just
paying it all.
We're just paying for another deputy. When our agreement was for 10, now we're paying for 11.
But according to this, the last payment we got in April of 22, it was an $80,000 payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was to pay for a whole
I thought
person
that's
with
what you were
benefits and
saying, yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So we need, somebody
I
needs to
mean,
go to Morgan's and say.
once
hey,
again, I
why
hate going back to fire, but I can tell you,
Guys, if y'all
$55,000
would,
with benefits, you're still under 80.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're making 2 installments, half is 70 something for us and half 70 something, then that should be 2.
Morgan paid that or just something we took out of the
when
county
we,
general?
when we were doing the
I don't
budget
think you
in
would take it out of
23,
county general and put it over
when
there.
Jerry
because if you
come
do
in
that,
there,
it would probably
he's
go to a
asking
different
for however
location.
many
Instead of
wages.
coming
out
out.
of.
the question was
That's
asked,
what-
I
I think
don't
that's the
remember
fund
by
that
who,
was
but the
received
question
to
was asked, how about the Morgan's food one?
Alright.
And we were told then that whoever it was that was filling that position had left and he was not gonna fill the position. That's why we didn't fund it. And then when Jacqueline left, it was right at the same time at
Which was that
that fund.
investigator line.
That's when the, grant for that one went away. Cause the sheriff's department did not apply for the grant.
No.
And that's when Jerry started the whole, we defunded the sheriff's
Also,
department
the cops
movement.
grant went away, that paid for a police
But-
officer, which used to be Josh Watterson back when we all worked there. That was a cops grant paid for a deputy, Morgan's Foods used to pay for a deputy, and that grant that Jacqueline came in on paid for, because there was 3 full grants. Alright, moving along. Radio repair out of county general, $1,400 is what was in the agreement, that's good. The Department of Toxicology, it costs $1,400, I think it has to be there. We had already paid like $700, right? So where does that go? Because I remember that was in the agreement, or the original budget.
Toxicology, we
Did
appropriated 700. The agreement's for
Out
1,400,
of-
so he needs to, or we need to only appropriate 700. Right? 14, 7 and 7 are 14, right?
Yeah, you're on the phone.
Okay. Yeah,
But I
the
just
original
don't-
budget
I just
had,
don't, I can't follow, like, because I think it's a different fund,
That's it. It was out of,
public safety maybe.
probably.
So I guess my question is what happens to that? Is it, or I just,
we only need to appropriate 700 out of general then, because we've already paid 700 out of
public safety.
public safety. Hold on, I'm looking. Department of Toxicology, we gave it 350 out of lit public safety. And then the second round, we did
350, which
350.
is
So $700. So we only need to do 700 out of general.
You good with that change, Kelly?
Yeah.
Which is this one right here. Alright, uniforms, some money was in that also, right? In public safety.
$250.
Was it, so it's 500?
Well, let me make sure what line it came out of the original.
So who's uniformed that for?
We gave him yes, lit public safety
That'd pay for
sheriff.
one person.
$10,000?
Oh, I just saw 1,400.
No, that's the Department
Okay,
of Toxicology.
okay, all right.
$10,000 ought to pay for a
Yeah.
lot.
Uniforms,
Yeah.
we've already
Yeah.
given 250 out of lit public safety, so we need 9,750 out of general.
So what's these right here?
I don't know.
Yours is backward of mine. Step back so I can.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
The uniforms, I wish I could highlight a whole row.
Okay.
Probably can. but-
I only show 250 in appropriations, and you show
I don't know. what
no
this is.
original appropriation
Oh, here
and
you go.
3,300 in additional.
Magic.
Did I miss an appropriation?
There's a 3,300 and a 6,700.
Well, the 6,700
Which
would be the
different from
the
33.
difference, yeah. So she's saying we give 3,300 an additional appropriation that I didn't show we had, but I show we appropriated $250.
Okay. I moved all of that to 10,000, or the 10,000. I moved all of that to 1,000. So that's why it doesn't show anything in 1170.
Right. But if we had, I guess my question is, and maybe I'm just not following, but if we had put 250 in 1170,
Well, where's that? I wanna know where the other appropriation
where
for.
did this come from?
Yeah, for $3,050, $3,050,
Was
we
that
didn't
one of the
appropriate.
court orders, maybe?
No, I don't, we didn't have any uniform court orders.
Okay.
3150.
Yeah, 30,
No, it's 30.
30.
3050.
I know, I can't do my thing right now, so you gotta check
That
me.
money doesn't go to the officers.
No.
That goes to a fund
Okay,
just to
quarter.
buy.
I don't remember.
I would love to change that.
couldn't
back
find
to
another
also.
appropriation
I
for
mean,
that.
imagine divvying out $10,000 between, we paid for 10 deputies,
I was gonna
$1,000
say,
bucks
yeah,
each,
yeah.
each one of those towns.
Either way, we've gotta get the appropriation to 10,000, but, yeah, I only
I don't
showed
know
two
where
fifties in
that came from.
appropriation. I don't know.
We had I think we had an extra one on
I
that.
guess we got a question here. Moving on.
I'll go back to
Drug
that.
buy funds, $10,000, that's a, like, county ordinance or something, I think we have to do that one. Good with it. Equipment repair and maintenance, is it on his
Well, I don't know that he
agreement?
had one for the, oh yeah, he does, at the bottom, equipment repair.
30,000.
And he is asking for 4,800.
Well, there's 4,600 on here.
Oh, maybe it is 4,600.
Equipment repair, I had 30,000 he asked for.
That's drastically different. Right.
Hold on a second, I'm still looking for the appropriation on uniforms. I can only look at what it
My head hurt.
Making my head.
Yeah.
Well, and it could be, does he have equipment repair in someplace else?
Just move it around.
Well, we had one for
Yeah.
jail and
Got
one
paid
for
for it.
sheriff.
Big money.
I didn't see one for sheriff, I just saw one for the 30,000 for jail.
Well, if you.
I have
look at
equipment, 4,500.
Where's his,
Equipment repair,
where's his,
35001,
Is this
it's the
what
third
you-
line from the bottom on.
Is it $4,500 he asked for?
I'm not sure if that's 46 or 4,800.
I have I put it at
It says
45.
46 up here, so.
Okay.
$100 anyway. Was there anything budgeted like for that at all?
I don't believe so.
So we did nothing in equipment repair and maintenance?
No.
Well, we
Not out of
appropriated 20,000, but he didn't ask for
1170.
any. General fund litigation.
Well, there was nothing in, yeah, with the sheriff.
I was not here in June, so I could be missing an appropriation, but,
We didn't do anything for the sheriff.
okay. I'm just looking for uniforms. Because we're gonna have to have an ordinance for the right amount.
Alright. Is there any of these we can go to? Not really, because all this was not covered in county general, it was all new.
Wait a minute, in the sheriff, you did have, 250 for equipment repair, so that would have ended up being 1,000. And then he asked for 4,500.
I have that we appropriated 500, two of 250s. So we would still have to appropriate 4,000, is that right? Is that not right? Okay, uniforms, $100 is what we appropriated.
So you said, Jennifer, in the equipment repair and maintenance, we had 250 out of 1170.
11735001, you had $250.
So we need to take that out of this 4,600.
It's too good to be times 4.
It'd be-
Times 2.
Well, it'd just be times 2.
So 500 out of that leaves us with 41.
Oh my. In jail, okay, so
That means
uniforms
he's
in
over.
jail was 200. Uniforms for sheriff out of public
That won't be
safety
over 500 bucks.
was 125. Okay, so with the uniforms, $250 was appropriated out of lit public safety. I do not see any other,
Which would have came twice, right? So $500.
no,
No.
that's 125 each time. You gave them 125 each time, so that's, do my math, is it 250? I do not see any other appropriations for uniform, so I'm not sure where the 3,000 something dollars is coming from.
Yeah, but the 67 will be the difference between these. We just can't get to that. Because all we should be is at 250 here.
That court order?
No. That's why I'm even more confused where $3,000 is.
Okay, I moved all of that to general. The additional appropriation that we've already given them was 3,300.
When was
The
that?
adjustment,
That's pretty good, wasn't it?
we did that while we were doing our paperwork Friday, Thursday and Friday.
Wait a minute.
That's what I'm saying. We moved it, that's where you're gonna see it in the general
I
fund.
wanna help you, but I
What do you mean you
wanna make
moved
it
it?
hooked up to the guy can.
I moved that whole appropriation to the general fund, trying to make things fit.
We only appropriated $250 though for uniforms.
Right.
So it'll be a total.
And then you've done an additional of
When?
we've done additional, oh, hang on.
Cause I'm missing it then. Are you doing, you're not doing sheriff and jail uniforms all the same, cause we just did the jail uniforms, right?
Yeah, this is only sheriff, county sheriff.
I must be missing an appropriation or something.
I don't remember doing $3,300 worth,
Well, it would have been, we already did 250, right? So it would have been,
30, 50.
I think I would remember that out of the number, wouldn't
Would
we?
he have to come back to you for that?
If he wanted an additional.
Yes, if he's,
So that 3,300 is additional, I thought he was appropriated 10 grand.
So we
no, he
did-
was
we did
appropriated
250.
250.
Okay, that's.
The agreement's for
I don't
10.
know where that came from.
Jennifer, that was
The
quarterly,
agreement was
was it?
10,000.
No, we
So
had
we
no
should have
quarters, was
got
already used.
9750 added. We spent this much already, it should be 94, 1486 sitting there. Unless we can find an additional.
I did not say, I've looked through every additional appropriation that I have a record of from this year. And all I see is two $125 appropriations
Hey, where's our original budget?
for the quarter.
Yeah. Is there?
What is that? That was a book.
The public safety, sheriff, tires and parts, our original was.
Tires and parts, we've done 12,500. Right?
I don't get that, it's
But
like
none of that shows up here.
$270,000 last year.
Like that shows up 48,000.
Well, that's because we probably did it out of a different fund and now she zeroed it out, but we still need to account for it.
That's why I'm trying to.
Because we're not gonna do the whole 75,000 out of general, we've already appropriated out of somewhere
That
else.
vanished.
Hey, what's 625 times 2?
Apparently it's out of
1250. You're asking me, math.
I'm just making sure.
I don't know, the way it was presented to us, that's a
Training
deal.
and investigation.
Oh, yeah.
Training and investigation, $500.
Maybe he paid it out of commissary or something, I don't know.
There.
Well, we did another 250, it's 500.
But even then, he should have came to us.
That's just first quarter
I don't
there.
think that's in, the legal agreement, which,
What's that?
I don't know. We're going back to what happened to the, whatever the car.
$28,000 charger bill.
Well, that got buried somewhere.
We're like, what
Let's talk
happened to
about
that?
I can tell you right now that if you call John Jones, we have $12,000 credit there right now because we've overpaid bills. So.
Tell me we want our money back. But where do we put it?
We want new electric bicycles for the council.
Fuel, we've already appropriated 25,000.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm assuming we're in the sheriff's department, right?
Training, yeah, training.
Whoa!
Investigation.
Training, we have 500.
That's
So 250 and 250.
It's
Drinking
only got
again.
one leg.
Drinking again, aren't you? Yeah.
We need
No
to get a
investigator.
connector.
Investigate, yeah, we did zero.
So these right here are what we need to figure out because none of this stuff matches.
Printing and advertising has zero and we've given it 250.
What's the 70,000 from 25,000?
These are what we have appropriated. This equipment repair and maintenance is already over. If we've appropriated 250 times 2, 4,600, you take 500 that we've already done, he's at 41, he spent 46, so he's $500 over there. If we've already appropriated 250 from 1,200, that's 100% spent, he's gonna be over in that line. Like every one of these is gonna be wrong, because you can't just add in this and not take into account what was already there. We're leaving half of the year out and just throwing the numbers in there.
He's gonna have to come in and do some transferring guys out of,
Or at least send a letter over or something saying what he needs.
Well, I'm gonna have to call his
Yeah.
attorney.
Yeah, I mean, however.
Do what?
I'm gonna have to call his attorney.
Yeah,
But his attorney suspiciously did not take my call last time I called him, so
yeah.
maybe he's at his $75,000 max or something, I don't know.
He ain't getting paid anymore.
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah,
But
maybe.
he's always
yeah.
been good to work with. Adam Bomar did not.
I mean, somebody's
I have a
got.
DoorDash for a JR. Jay
What
Ward.
are you doing?
I thought that might be you.
Who ordered that?
Adam
Adam
Bomar, I'm
Bomar.
sure.
I don't know who he is, but he's
Got
the
a beard.
nicest guy. Adam.
Yeah.
That wasn't
I've
Adam.
been messaging with him.
Thank you, Commissioner Bomar, if you're watching,
Thank you, Adam.
Omar.
because I'm starving.
JR, and I thought that may be Jay
Hey.
Ward.
Don't get too excited. He might have paid for that out of county funds.
Don't even say that, he did not.
Just set him on the chair.
That ain't even funny.
That ain't even funny,
Because I didn't think of it.
Okay, let me make sure.
Get a bill. I'd like to get a fake
Thank
bill
you.
from somewhere and have it come in.
Hey Heather, can you start digging into
I better get
safety
paid for a little
supplies
bit.
For the jail?
for the road? Because it's showing
Oh.
negative $20,529.
All right, guys. y'all
I
make it
show for
tonight.
safety, we gave him 2,500 and he didn't ask for
That
any.
Papa John's.
So,
I'm gonna complain.
out
I want
of
something.
I want
deputies,
a Pizza Hut.
safety supplies is zeroed.
Well, he spent $20,529.75. So,
Well, I wanna know what that's for. Peters, let's see, safety
I'll
supplies.
transfer money any way they ask me
Road.
to inside that budget.
We gave 2,500. He asked for 0 and has spent what?
$20,529.
How is that allowed to happen? If we only gave him.
Higher amounts and don't take 6 months of the year.
Oh, okay, but if we only appropriated and said he can spend $2,500, how does someone write checks for $18,000 more than that? Oh my God.
I don't, hadn't run out of checks yet.
It ain't
Look,
funny.
I'm just gonna check, I just looked, he did not ask for any in safety supplies for the road deputies. We
That was
gave safety supplies for road deputies, we gave $1,250. He asked for 55. We gave $1,250 out of lit public safety and another 12, so we gave 2,500 out of lit public safety. How does that happen?
So, am I right on that stuff so far? I don't know. Or does any of that?
Everybody else do whatever they want. I'm
Why don't you tell me and I'll look at it?
A little something in our belly, we'll get
What
that
are
figured
what are we
out.
looking at?
So, start at the bottom. Training and investigation. If we
500.
gave 500, the agreement's 10,000, he has $9,500 to work with.
Yes.
Alright, so that needs to be changed by 500. Office supplies, we gave $1,250, he requested 15,000.
13,750. Yes, it should be.
So 13,750 in there, he's good on that one.
Uh-huh.
The tires and parts, we gave 12,500. The agreement is 75,000. That leaves him with 45,000. He spent 47.
Wait a minute, 12, so wait a minute, we've appropriated $12,500. He spent how much as of today?
47,000
So bills have been paid
for
for,
47,000.
for $30,000 more than we've appropriated. $35,000 more than
Looks
we've
like to
appropriated.
me. I mean,
Okay, so
Unless that was court ordered.
the agreement was 70, nope, overtime, part-time, I think that, and attorney's fees. 12,570, so he needs 62,500 appropriated to him in that line.
then you need what now?
Tires and parts, 12,500 was appropriated, the agreement's for 75,000, 62,500 is what's left to appropriate.
Yeah.
And that'll get him right, but $35,000 being paid out of appropriated, a line that's not appropriated that much?
500.
Yeah,
Alright.
what else?
So then we got fuel. 20,000.
25,000. Agreement 70.
70.
45.
45.
Yep.
And he spent
Put your hands down.
25, so he's got 20,000, that shows he has 44,000.
25, 70, 45. He spent his appropriation.
No, this is what it shows as unspent. He has spent.
Well, that's because she has zeros in the appropriation, but we did appropriate $25,000 and she hasn't taken out of the 70. But we took it out of a different fund, I'm sure.
I think we're understanding that.
But at the end of the day, you still gotta have 4.4 million.
Well, she has it at 4.5.
Yeah.
Only thing changed is the numbers.
Well, I've heard that before.
Pepperoni, pepperoni, pepperoni.
Guys, this is way better being more paid for.
That's what I got some pepperoni.
He's alright.
I'm not taking any more because my eyes are bigger than my stomach with the fat shot. The fat shot, you gotta love it. The fat shot.
Alright.
Better get the pizza.
I did get one of the protein drinks that Todd got for me tomorrow.
I do have, there's where that was appropriated.
Awesome. Thank you.
Little pizza marks on it.
Have to keep the mark.
What are we looking
Some
at?
pizza. Jim.
I'm good. I had lunch late.
Is this for the uniforms? I don't
It's
see
13
uniforms.
Okay, 13,300.
It just doesn't say uniforms.
Now, if you look at the second page, it'll show you what was there be the 18.5.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's still on there. Did you take, the
No, it's
18.5 may not
18,500.
print it off.
Yeah.
But then there's 3,300 for uniforms, and was the other
Software.
software? Okay. Now, yeah, that was the 10,000 for the software.
Oh, so it, yeah, I have this one, but it doesn't say uniforms, it doesn't say software, it says others, which would be another line item. So did you just transfer it to those lines, or?
No, that's just what we had sent in.
The 35,104, what's
Thank you.
the number for it?
We didn't put the numbers in on the ordinance.
Ah,
Yeah, so this is 10K software. That's what you remember when I did that big long one? That's because I wanna know exactly what line, because there's no way I would know that, I don't think. So 3,300 uniforms. That was part of the 13.3 that was passed, in March. 10,000 went to software and 3,300 went to uniforms.
alright, so,
So go back to uniforms, 3,300, but we are missing 250.
250.
Should it be 35.50?
That was an 11.70.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
but
was
here's the
but
problem, if you don't include that in, then the amount you're doing is an additional to
Then
bring
all
up that
these are all
balance.
wrong.
Yeah, those are all wrong.
Cause that's what I did here, this is what we did out of 1170, but if you take that into account, whenever you do these, it changes all of these numbers, right? Because we've already spent that.
Correct.
Because if not, you're giving him, so you're saying, we gave him 3,300, which is the additional appropriation, so we have to get to 10, so you're saying give him 6,700 additional out of county general. But that's not true, we've already allocated 250 out of a different fund, so it should be 6,700 minus the 250. So it'd be 6,450, whatever it is.
That one.
I unappropriated it in 11.70.
And we put it all in general. So if you want us to go back and change, and that's why I sent you,
So how do we know what he spent out of this that was appropriated?
it's gonna show what he spent, either if it's appropriated in one account or the other.
If he spent anything in 11.70, those expenditures were moved over to here.
I don't understand. I mean, I understand what they're doing, I don't understand how they're doing, we just unappropriated it?
It's appropriated
just-
as a negative.
Well, that's what we were trying to do this to show you how it would fit together. All of this can go back and be put back the way it was.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you gotta do that.
But then that messes up the numbers that we just went through on the the lit public safety and the lit special purpose, right? Because if you've unappropriated that, that was part of that available balance, so then we'd be,
I think we're gonna be here quite a while, yes.
Take what?
I think we'll be here quite a while. So, tell us what you want there and we'll go put it in.
I guess I just don't know, how do we track what was in 1170? Cause
'Cause
like, I don't see, does it show up here? Is that what you're saying?
If you go to 1170, it'll show you like the 250 and then it'll show you a negative 250 equals 0.
So that's what they zeroed out there, right?
What's everybody wanna do? I don't know.
Yeah, but if you start going back and putting these appropriations we made out of other funds, then we're back to 0 because it messes up the balance that we came up with out of those lit funds.
Alright, so if we forget that,
Why are we still at 4.5 though? We should be at 4.49.
That's added the narcotic fund on there. Yes.
the what?
The narcotic fund you have added on that report. If you
The
take
what?
that out, the narcotics fund.
The officer or the?
File line up.
Or the five fund?
Oh, okay.
The whole fund. If you pull a report with just your lits in general, it'll equal the 4.49. But you've got narcotic fund on there as well.
But here's the thing, the agreement's for 4.49, it doesn't say,
I don't have.
That's
I don't have
total.
narcotics on this.
that's total. I don't give a shit what fund it is, it's 4.49.
So when I pull mine up, it shows me 4,491,000,
You've got to have another fund on there.
682.
Can you see it, Kinley?
I don't know how it would be more clear. The agreement's 4.49, it's not out of those three funds, it's 4.49 total budget for the
Okay,
year.
County
Okay.
general, lit
So,
special.
right?
and lit
So if there's a
public.
narcotics fund on here that he's using to pay something, that goes to his 4.49. He's got to move it somewhere else,
My
right?
question is, you can't take the money out of the 9123.
The no
So
department.
what do you do with that?
We
You
don't have anything
cannot
under.
move it over to general, or let public safety, or let special purpose.
So then there's the 4.49.
What is that the narcotics officer fund?
Wonder what that's pulling up.
Numbers don't.
Oh, that ain't worth the headache.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Alright,
I'm sorry, I don't
think
know the
it's a
fund
Morgan's
number.
match.
Well, but he has that coming out of the special purpose. Or out of one of those three funds, we're taking that
What
out
I'm
of something
saying is,
else.
you've got, in the 9123, that was originally appropriated as 75,000.
That's the narcotics officer fund.
So I don't know what we're gonna do with that fund.
It needs to be unappropriated, he doesn't have the money there.
Okay.
Because this is the agreement. Does that make
So we
sense?
can take that out, just like we took the three.
Has he spent any of it?
No. Well, I don't know on that. I need to look.
I don't have a report on that.
Let me go look on that one.
And we just need a resolution unappropriating it because it's not part of the agreement,
Yeah.
right? So if we take that how did it go? Now it's down.
I had something.
Yeah, they changed it.
Oh, you had something wrong? Was it the food or the narcotics officer? Okay.
She just showed me how to take it away.
Yeah, Jennifer had hers at 4.49.
Safety supplies, what are we doing here?
I'm gonna have to call his attorney. $20,000, unpaid balance. So safety supplies, we've appropriated 2,500. There's nothing in the agreement for sheriff safety supplies. And he spent 20,529.
Yes.
We're just gonna have to move some money around.
All I think
In
was
his
up there.
budget.
Yeah, I
Those are
emailed
bills
myself.
we paid, right?
So-
I guess.
I'll send an email to Mr. Turkington tomorrow. That shot me somebody wanted.
Stress is
It's the end of the week. It's you guys making me do math. And I'm a math person. Did you text Adam and tell him?
So anything that is overspent, we need to call a lawyer and say, hey, what's going on?
What do we do with it?
He's gonna have to take some money from another fund to make up for what he's overspent.
I was gonna say, he has
Because if not, you
spent,
can add all of those funds that he's over on and you're giving him that much at 4.491 plus that much of a budget. And the agreement was his budget's 4.49.
13,879.
What's that on?
That's on the 9123. You're not.
That's the narcotics officer fund, yeah. And he's not spent anything of that, Jennifer?
Yeah, he spent $13,008.79.
Out of a fund that don't have any money in it. Or isn't getting any money in it. I guess that's a lawyer question too. What else do we need to cover?
He's not over budget or anything.
Is that not be funded by Morgan's?
It should
That's what
be.
that position.
Well, that's one of my questions, is that the same as the Morgan?
It should have been, that's what that position was made for, was
Right.
narcotics officer.
Okay, well then, you don't need it in two places. We're gonna unappropriate it, the 75,000, and we're gonna deduct the 13,000 we paid out of the narcotics officer line, out of Morgan's food service line, and yes.
Because that's what,
Once I confirm those are the same things, which they are.
Cheryl did it for a while, Paul did it. Well, I don't know who's doing it now, probably Charles.
Well, I guess I don't even really have to ask that question, because he didn't ask for anything out of the narcotics officer fund. We can't unappropriate the 13,000 he spent, but you can take that out of what he's appropriated for the Morgan's food fund.
Yeah. I think that's what we do. You good with that, movie?
We're just unappropriating it, right?
Well, he spent
Just what
13, so you
Just
can't
take that
unappropriate that.
narcotics fund and lock it down, we're not doing anything with it.
Okay,
Nothing in, nothing out,
okay.
unless we say so. Deputy Morgan's food match was like 71 something.
It's 71,906, so
It's
it
out
would
of-
be that.
It's out of public safety though, right?
Yes, we have it out of 1170. That's where Jennifer suggested, so I think that's where it goes.
Never has since I've been.
So you would just take the 71,906 and subtract out the 13,000 he spent, and that's
What's
what.
the 8,000 then? 8,216.
Seems to me like they probably paid 6 months of pay, right?
That's what was paid.
Still doesn't make sense though, because we're 6 months in, 13 plus 8 is what, 22?
Well-
About 22?
And he's not always had one, and is there a guy with their name McCutcheon right now?
Yeah, he's the investigator, I think.
Okay. I thought they had
Fresh out
put
of that-
him
he's
at
Fresh out
there.
of the academy, I think he's the investigator, detective, or whatever it's called. But you said we spent 13,000 out of the
Narcotics.
Of the
narcotics
9123.
officer.
Out of the
But then we
1170.
spent another 8215 or 16 out of this line also.
Yes.
And we all agree there ain't even been anybody in that all year, so.
Well, Amy will come over here and tell us that there's people in these. So that's what they're telling us. And I don't run the sheriff's department.
Okay,
Oh, no,
so you're saying some officers there in place.
Alright, so going back to what Heather said, we're gonna deduct the 13 whatever you have from Deputy Morgan's foods line right here.
Whatever is spent out of the narcotics officer fund.
Yeah. Good there? Anything else? All in, all done, is this it? Everybody like everything else that's on here, or are you just tired and ready to go home?
Yep.
Is there a question about tires and parts? No. Cause I think they.
Tires and
moved it
parts,
over.
12,500, or was already,
But she's saying they moved it over. the-
so 75.
What's that 18.5 up there? I can't see.
Where you at? This, that's what we paid to house those inmates at Clark County for no reason whatsoever that he.
It's theater.
Yeah, theatrics.
How much was that again? How much was that
$18,450.
for just, what, 3 or 4 days or a week or something?
I don't know what this was, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
I just know it was.
I just got a bill, I don't know. I have no idea.
Crisis
I hear
is
you on
created
that.
by moving them for no apparent reason because we funded the people who.
I will
Take care.
forget by the time we meet in July what all this paper is, so you'll have to remind me. I gave this to you. You wrote location on it, I gave it to you.
After the meeting.
Well, we're gonna have
I'll forget
to put this
after the
together
meeting.
and see if it'll
I
fit.
hope I do.
Alright, do you,
Well, I have good notes. I'm calling about some things, so if you have questions or
is that all
we
we
screwed
need to go
something
over
up, then
on
just
this
call me.
thing? Are we done up here?
How close is this getting us to the number Have you been trying to track it?
It's there, what she had.
Okay.
See where it says total appropriations 4.491,682?
Right here.
That's the magic number.
That's what I'm asking, are we there
So
yet?
she's got it
It's
there.
We just need to move some
But
stuff around. I
the
think.
sheriff has nothing else coming out of any other funds, correct? Because that 4.491682 is his for the entire year, period.
Right.
No other funds, no other, I mean,
No.
commissary, obviously, but
We have got 2 requests, and I forget it was $4,700 worth of invoices for, the K-9 program. And I think there's 27,000 something in that fund.
well,
And
but-
then I think we had
That's his
Lisa.
number. So if he wants it, he's gotta give up something out of these.
yep. I mean, if it's a donation fund, I think we need to talk about it. We haven't been able to ascertain that there are donations going in. The only payments made into that fund were by the sheriff
That's all it looks
department,
like,
so.
and that is my concern, is that.
I
it
don't want
only
to,
shows-
if someone has donated for that K-9, I don't wanna tell them that we're not gonna, you know, I wouldn't suggest that to you guys. But
Right.
otherwise, that's his budget.
I mean, my
So it
issue
can,
with
I mean,
it was.
paid out of supplies
it
or
just
officers or,
shows- I don't know why that.
but I mean, it's not even before us yet, so we'll look at
Well,
it.
that will be coming up next month. And I think Lisa, there's
What'd I do wrong?
22 something
We're
for
trying to do-
cartridges, I
Look at that.
believe.
And that's the
K-9
very
what?
thing received in for the K-9 fund?
But
Yes.
that show.
But it all just shows
Because
just
they
the
did a big
sheriff.
fundraiser.
That just shows.
Yeah, there's been
They
no
did a big
activity in it.
fundraiser.
Well, the other day, we
And
just
I-
looked
and I
at it
don't
and it
know,
showed a
she
bunch
does
of
more
sheriff's
receiving,
department
so she might
deposits.
tell where it came
Yeah, we
from.
looked at receipts for it the other day and all the income was from the sheriff's department.
Go back.
Can
Just
you,
push back. And
if
then
you
go
do-
to your accounts,
Counts.
and move all those over. You had just receipts on,
Ah, gotcha.
and then push next. Okay, go back.
Okay, try again. Objects?
Yeah.
So what was it?
Yep,
that's
What
it.
did you say the other one was, Jennifer?
Lisa, and there was 22 something, I think, for
There it
cartridges.
is. So that's what I said, my concern was.
Well, he still
with
needs
the
an additional
K-9
appropriation, so
fund
he's gonna,
is
his
if
4.9
John
is
Lisby
there.
donated
Lisa
money,
was not,
It's been
it
advertised
just
for
shows the
July
sheriff's department paid
8th or whatever day.
into this account, so it doesn't show
well, what I'm
like
telling, what I
if it was
guess,
truly a donation.
well, I guess that's on him.
Yeah.
Because I don't
He
think
just
anybody
gives
on
a
this
piece
body
of
is gonna
paper
go
with
over
its reported
4.49 million.
collections, and
He's
he
gonna have to
says
find a
that
way
he
to
received
transfer
this
it.
much in cash, this is where that needs to go.
So what's he do with the cash? Does it go in this fund?
And he takes it to the treasurer's office.
Do they put it in this fund?
I mean, they deposit the money.
Gotcha.
But I think, like you said, it's gotta be appropriated back where it are to us, does it or
I
not?
mean, at some
Well,
point,
here's
That's
the
something he
deal.
can do without going through us?
and the only thing, it has to go through us to be appropriated. But my issue is, looking at this, they're saying these are funds that Joe Blow citizen donated for the K-9 program. But whenever I look at it, all I see is it looks like the sheriff's department put this much money into the K-9 fund, and now you're asking me to reappropriate it on top of what you asked for and all of this litigation stuff.
That should be tracked to people's names they gave, because that's
what I
actually
think.
the.
Well, it might be on,
I won't touch that fund right there until next year budget. If he wants some of that money for K-9,
They just say.
I'll vote to give it to him. But right now, I'm
901
stuck,
cents is an odd number for negative cash.
I'm
But I
stuck
mean,
on
does that make sense? Like, you
4.9
kinda-
whatever million.
I'm not trying to
That's all I'm
be
doing.
splitting hairs, but I think for myself to raise my hand and vote for it, I would wanna see that this person donated this much money and they intend for it to go to the dog, not, like you said, the sheriff shows up with a stack of cash, says, well, put me here, and put me there, and put me here. I don't.
he's gotta be
think that-
writing some kind of receipt to him, I think.
I mean, I would think, but until I see those,
Yeah,
I don't.
and that's
feel
probably
comfortable.
over his all.
I don't feel
I'm sure it is, because
comfortable
we've got
voting out of
some
this
report of
fund.
collections that,
Well, I'm not even
Tells us
sure
where to
how
put
much
it.
of that's our problem. It's not taxpayer money, it's public donation.
We don't know that, we don't know.
Well,
You can
I
tell
mean,
from
that's what it was set up for, that's the way it's supposed to
No,
be.
the ordinance says from donations and any other source. I mean, it's not just a donation fund. It can be from anything. We can appropriate.
So he
I
could be
mean,
transferring some of it out of his budget or something?
I don't think you would be able
Only you would
to.
do that, but I think he could.
I do know
It's
they,
not coming from tax.
I guess
property
my
tax
point of
dollars.
view, I do know they did a big fundraiser.
I do, I agree.
And
Well, and
I would
think if
hate
those-
to use their money they raised to go towards that number
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? They work to get.
I guess
Well, but
here's
here's the thing.
Here's my overall
During,
question.
during our settlement agreement, he could have attached an exhibit C, saying of that 4.49 million, I need $5,000 to come out of this fund, but he didn't do that.
And here's my overall question, do we have bills that we owe
Donations or
people?
donations?
Yes,
Or have they been paid? And this is a reimbursement to another like commissary or
I
something?
believe these are invoices that need to go to people.
Do you care to just send them to me in an email sometime? And I'll just follow up and I'll ask them. And if they are, then we need to pay people. Somehow, some way, however we all decide
Well,
and
we just
agree.
transferred
we
out
need to pay
$4.9 million.
But if they've been paid and this is some kind of a reimbursement deal, then
Oh.
that's not, I'm not entertaining reimbursements. Is that fair?
That just, I mean, if we just need to know if it's any of our money or not, as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, I don't think it's a whole lot of our business.
Yeah, I think Amazon.
Well, it's not
Yes.
it's not property
It's
tax
Amazon.
dollars, because it's not a property tax fund, it's a
For the
It's a
dollars.
donation fund. I mean, it's donations and any other source of income you can come up with.
Gas station is
He can go say, have a bake sale. I mean, technically, that's what I'm saying, it's not just
But
donations. He can
but
have
if
a
it's
bake
not
sale.
our money, I don't know. If it's not coming, if it's nothing we have to deal with, I don't know why we care.
There are only certain funds that don't have to be appropriated by the council. The for the sheriff's office, his continuing education, and his commissary, the only two funds that don't have to be appropriated. Everything else has to be appropriated.
But I'm guessing that was done by ordinance.
That was a home rule fund done by ordinance by the commissioners.
Yeah.
Commissioners create home rule funds. They can't violate state statute and say this doesn't have to go before the council.
Right.
It still has to go before the council to be
But the
appropriated.
ordinance is donations or other funds or whatever. you
Or
say.
other funds. He could be having a bake sale for all we know. I don't
Well,
know.
I know, but to me, I still coming back to if it isn't,
Yeah.
if it isn't out of our
Tax funds.
taxpayers or general fund and all that, as much as we'd like to know, I'm having trouble feeling like whether it's our business or not.
Please.
I just feel like if it's
I may be wrong totally, tell me if I am.
Well, I think if it's a donation, yeah, I see your point of view, but I also see that we worked hard for 4.49 that you really thought was too much, and he didn't include that in part of his 4.49. So where do you start and where do you stop?
Well, I mean, I
Well,
think,
now I spent $7 million, but I took it out of all these other funds that you shouldn't care
I didn't
about.
look. I just
I don't know.
I don't think that's being,
I don't
if you got
see-
that much money, you're not being a good
Well,
steward
it
of
might
tax
be, but if
dollars.
it's not tax dollars, I just still ain't figured out whether it's our business.
But we're funding a lot more with tax
Well,
dollars
maybe,
that could
'cause
stay
there's
there and go
one
to
huge,
other
like,
county
15
services, so.
balance on it.
I don't know.
What I'm saying is, if he wants 5,000 to, I understand your point of view totally, but if he wants $5,000 out of a K-9 fund that he didn't put in the 4.49, that $5,000 he could have put in the 4.49, right?
But he doesn't have to.
And taken it out of that fund,
Yeah.
and he could have freed up
I mean, we
$5,000
may
in another
consider,
fund.
we may not like the management, it might be poor management.
Yes,
I just don't
But
want
I think unless I'm just reading this wrong, that's his money.
right, I agree, but I agree too that you gotta follow procedures, you gotta follow the law, you gotta
Yeah.
be doing the right things, and
And
just come and
I'm
ask
not
for
trying
it.
to take up for Jerry here. We
No.
don't know what he didn't.
Well, but when I get an email from his attorney saying, well, I heard you guys refused to give him that, I'm like, it's not been before my client yet. We
Yeah.
haven't advertised it, he hasn't come before us and asked for an additional appropriation.
Okay.
We have questions, you have the right to ask questions about it. Where did this money come from? You know?
I think that's fine. I just don't know if we have anything
Yeah,
yet to say anything was done
I've said
wrong.
that,
Yeah.
since I've heard about this,
Yeah.
that if it's truly donations,
Same number.
who are we? Those people
Yeah, I mean,
gave the
that's-
money.
Yeah.
But also, it should
This
have
is
been,
21,571.
it should have been part of his 4.49. I think it should have been. All he had to do was attach an exhibit C
Yeah, John
out of that
Morgan's
fund
15,000.
for whatever he wanted appropriated from the K-9
I
fund.
just emailed it to you
James
guys.
Ritchie found
What'd you
a
do?
breakdown of where they went and did fundraising.
I'd send it to your email.
Oh,
Numbers
I'll
don't
get it.
exactly match up, but they're close.
Yeah.
Well, they also have like a jar
Yeah.
at gas stations and stuff.
Yeah.
To put in. So, I mean, it's fairly close.
Yeah.
Alright, anything else on that? At all?
It's almost 9.
Kinley, you got everything you need from us for that?
Yes.
Alright, the only one other thing that I wanted to talk about tonight while we're all here is after meeting with the State Board of Accounts half of the weekend and spending time up there, their suggestion is we look at an ordinance to change the way that we do transfers in our county because there's
And line corrections.
been some issues with like transfers and line corrections and stuff like that. So in order to take some of the pressure off of the auditor's office, the ordinance before you is just to change back to every line correction, every transfer would come through this body and be voted on.
You mean line correction?
Line correction, sorry, it's been a long
I
night.
need the rest of it. The rest of it's fine.
But
Statutes there.
all this would do is pretty much just say that it would give them, the Scott County Council or the proper officers to handle all the fiscal matters, and it would eliminate them getting inundated with transfer this, transfer that. They could simply just say, well, you gotta go to the council and get it done, and then we don't have to do the 10-day appropriation, I add all that stuff. It can come to us and we can vote on it and decide if we wanna transfer that or not.
Yeah, these come from two statutes. There's two statutes that basically say the proper officers can do transfers within the same, without having to do an additional appropriation, without having to really report it to the Department of Government and Local Finance. Because every time we do a transfer outside of the major budget classifications, or we do an additional appropriation, we have to, Jennifer's office has to report that to the DLGF. So the statute for transfer says you can move it within budget classifications, if you're the proper officer. And then the second one is reappropriations and refunds. It says anytime there's an erroneous or excessive disbursement, or something was placed in the wrong fund, or we've gotten a refund without appropriation, so money was erroneously received and we need to refund it, that the proper officers can do those things. In talking, I think, with the State Board of Accounts, the State Board of Accounts says, well, it's proprietary for the council to allow the auditor to do it, so you could do this ordinance that basically says no, any transfer, regardless if it's within or without major budget classifications, as well as any line corrections, reappropriations, and refunds, they would all come to the council. And we can do that by resolution, sort of like we do all other transfers. That way you don't have to do a 10-day public hearing notice. You only have to do those for additional appropriation anyways. You don't have to have unanimous consent and do an ordinance, so it would be fairly easy to do those. And that just sort of lets us keep track, seeing, I think part of the reason why JR had this discussion is just seeing, how, okay, well, we looked at this with this day and it had this amount in there, now it doesn't, and transfers are going on without,
cleaner.
yes, without us knowing. The only thing is that, in discussing this through with the State Board of Accounts and with Zach, we talked about what if there's an emergency, like what if something comes and Jennifer's like, I really got to do that. Well, there is a mechanism to call a special meeting, an emergency meeting, that it's not going to, if something's going to be in the county's not going to be able to run, if that doesn't happen, can do an emergency meeting with an emergency resolution. There is some part of the court order in the sheriff's case says that he can get with the auditor to make inter-category transfers. I don't think that would change. And that's pretty clearly listed in this ordinance, that it doesn't supersede prior orders.
Let me see if I understand it.
Yep.
Basically, where now people can do, elected officials can do certain inline transfers within the proper numbers.
Elected officials cannot do that. Right now, we allow Jennifer.
Or department
But
head.
they,
Yes,
I know we
they have to ask
have, I know
her.
we have in the past, it was always was conferring with the auditor.
Yes.
But we're willing to do away with that? Is that what we're doing now,
yeah,
is they can't
this
transfer within their budget, they have to come to us?
Right. And the only change to it would be, it would alleviate the, people who wanna just move stuff, because the last couple of budget cycles we've looked at, and there's several items, I think we try to crack down on some of them at budget, but several things that would get put into budgets routinely, and every year they get the whole line transferred somewhere else. And so to clean up some of that, State Board of Accounts thinks that it will help us for a while clean up things that are going on with
Well, it would definitely give
the
it better
changes.
control of money, I understand that, we know where they're spending, not spending, and I think.
I think it would make budgets more important.
It's like you do the budgets, like somebody had $1,500 for travel, they never used it for 3 years, but every year that zeroed out.
And then move it somewhere else.
Well, usually, yeah.
Yeah.
But what they really do at the end of the year, they transfer it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she gets inundated with transfers from stuff like that, so.
But I'm more talking about just like, I wanna transfer, I don't know, the gas budget to repair budget or something. And you
I think,
I'm always talking about, we could just literally transfer within the line before.
Correct.
And this is stopping that.
And it's just
It's
saying,
not
you're gonna
stopping.
have to hold to, you made a budget, you're gonna have to hold to it, or plan. Like, it helps with planning, it isn't all of this, well, I got it sitting over here, I'll just go buy what I want and come hit Jennifer up for a transfer. That, you have to at least come in here and explain why. And it makes our budgeting process much more, I guess, hold your feet to the fire a little bit on what you put in there.
I think it would,
I'm not saying that we won't transfer your gas
I
line
don't
or
know that
whatever,
it's
but
mostly about,
I think it would hold department heads a little more accountable to writing a good budget. And we've had a whole bunch of, ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. We've had a whole bunch of that.
And that's what I'm trying to reel in for a while. Not saying it can't ever be changed back, but I think for a while that needs to be brought back and cleaned up a lot of the, I'll do this, then ask later.
So Jennifer, would this help your office?
I was out of there. Are
So,
you saying now that all transfers have to go
we'll go
through
through
you?
the council.
We can do that.
And it would just be able to say, hey, I can get you in contact with JR or whatever, we'll put you on the agenda, and I think it would help with some of the last minute stuff that she gets, especially the end of the year, you get hit with.
And to be clear, it's gonna put a lot more work on us.
Which it
Because all
isn't.
this stuff that Jennifer's having to deal with now, making decisions that she shouldn't really have to make.
Yeah.
We have to make them decisions. Cause I feel she's getting a lot of stuff dumped on her that's not.
We certainly have.
And so I think it'll clean, not saying we can't ever change this back, I'm just saying, we try it, and if it don't work, we can change it, but
Yeah, I suppose I could understand a little bit better if we had a number. Anything under $1,000, they could go ahead and move around however they wanted. But or anything over 5,000, I pay a number. I just think there's a lot of stuff in our little stuff don't amount to hell of beans.
I think anything over $1,
well,
that's a number.
I think you do that, and then if you bought $10,000 worth of stuff and the limit was 5, you bill me for
Well,
5 of it.
I
this month, 5 of
represent-
it next month.
I represent another body that has a limit like that. You know how the clerk treasurer gets around that? She writes one check, it's $500. She writes one check for $250 or $499 and one check for $1 and says, well, I didn't have to come to you, I wrote you separate
Right.
checks. So, I don't know that, I think that if the issue is being able to, one, take some of the guesswork out for Jennifer of, hey, should I be doing this, or is this right, or, whatever it is, and the work, because it's a lot of work for your office. I just feel like it gives us a little bit more, at least for now, because something's gotten out of control somewhere, right? I mean, here we are sitting here trying to figure out this budget with numbers that, we're seeing everywhere. So I think that it's going to give you it's going to be a little bit more work, but I think at least temporarily, this is what the State Board of Accounts has suggested to help us sort of try to get a handle on what's really going on.
And that was their suggestion as to, they, I guess, they being the top 3 at the State Board of Accounts.
Are you talking about Stacy, Ricky? And
Stacy, Ricky, and Tammy cornered us and was like, hey, I think this would help for your upcoming audit that we're gonna be in your county doing. And we talked about it for quite a while out there in the
It
lobby.
was up for a half hour anyhow,
And
at least.
just about this, and I think, they make some good points that they're looking at what's going on down here, they're aware of it, and I think we should probably heed their warning if they're telling us this is something we need to do for a while to clean things up. So, you might have any other questions on it, or anything? Do you know
Most of
what
us have the
ordinance
year
number
in.
we're on?
I have
Oh, it's
no
all year
clue.
round.
I'd have to, because I wasn't here and did we do any ordinances?
Ordinance?
We'll still be
So,
asking if
just
it's
out of curiosity,
Kinley, did we do any ordinances in June?
Have to have a lot
A
of
lot of them.
special meetings
On 33.
towards the end of the year, for example.
No, we
If-
did not.
Listen,
Yeah,
everybody's
I'm
budget's
here.
starting to get down to the nitty gritty. So if you have a furnace that goes out,
Yes.
if you have
Yeah, you're
tires, a tire blow, I think I'm 100% for it. I see towards the end of the year, we're gonna be in here weekly, if not more. Because once people's budget starts getting lower and lower and lower towards the end of the year, And if it's that tire budget, you know, you blow a tire, you gotta come in here and ask for that tire, and we can't make you wait a month. I mean, if it's a vehicle that has to be on the road, a furnace goes out, you know? So towards the end of the year, when people's budgets,
Highway and.
those just circumstantial
Well, a lot of times-
situations, you know what I'm saying? And I get budgeting, but at the same time, I run a budget every year, and I can promise you, sitting here, there's not a year goes by that I don't have 1 or 2 lines in the red.
Okay, and that's all fair, but when they replace that furnace without coming here, then give Jennifer the bill, oh, by the way, we're out of
Yeah, no,
money.
for
So
sure,
we got-
for
that's
sure.
That's what we gotta stop.
I just wanna make sure you guys are
Oh, I
aware,
realize, yeah.
towards the latter part of the year,
Yeah.
where we like to come in here once a month, we're
Yeah.
probably gonna be in here twice a week.
Well, most of the time though, when we get towards the end of the year, people are looking at their budget and seeing where they're gonna be short, where they have extra appropriation they haven't used, say somebody quit or something, and they're going ahead and asking for those moves. Or, I mean, we get a lot of cleanup I think we met 3 weeks in December, didn't we? Because we had so much cleanup to do.
I thought it was
Maybe,
just 2.
Well, and
we've met a couple times just because we're trying to clean up,
Yeah.
you know.
This
things.
isn't a decision Jennifer has to make, it's just something it's a system the elected officials can use.
Not
I mean, it ain't like her saying, yes, you can have it, no, you can't. They're asking for it, they're not asking, they're saying, I want to transfer between my lines here.
And
Well, the
that's-
statute regardless
creates
says the
more work
appropriate
for her, I
people,
agree with
persons,
that.
or bodies.
Do I?
The statute regardless says the appropriate person or office or officers. And I think what the State Board of Accounting is saying is that it is default the county council that should be doing that. And for some reason, it has become the auditor in this county that is doing those
I mean,
things,
it's been
so.
that way forever, and I can remember.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right on that.
I just think I've seen it put Jennifer in a lot of her
We probably don't
positions.
even know this, but does other counties do it this way? Do we know?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I'm just curious.
I'm
I'm not ready to vote on it tonight, if that's telling you anything.
I think if we, you know, is there an amendment, is there something you want changed on it?
And there might be. I'd just like to study a little bit, that's the first I heard of it tonight.
Would like to try to alleviate some of the stress that she gets of the transfer inundation
And I totally agree, I'm not,
ultimately,
I know
whatever
she gets
transfer is
annual,
done, we're responsible.
but in my mind, when it comes to us, she's still gonna have to do all the work. All we're gonna do is approve it.
There, you've got that figured out.
Do I?
You're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna have doing the work anyway.
Do all the work.
Correct, but
I
but
think
it's
to
not
me,
on
what it's
her.
more about, do we wanna make people accountable?
I think you do.
Yeah, and I understand that part of it.
I'm all about accountability.
I am too. But I also,
And I think
Being-
that
being in
eliminated
those
us
positions for it.
questioning, why'd you move this and that,
Right.
you know, right?
Correct, because we'll know,
Yeah.
right? You guys
And I
have to
think
vote
it'll
on it,
draw
you know?
all of us in this room closer together, including John Collins,
We'll have
but
a big hug.
because we're gonna have to work together, you know, people are asking for stuff and we're working
Yeah.
together.
And well, another thing too, when you,
well, I'm not gonna vote for it tonight, but I mean, I can see exploring it, it might be the way to go. I mean, I just wanna look at it for.
yeah, I understand, I just lost what I thought, but anyway, it's like if somebody, like I said, got $1,500 in travel, they don't use it, they start transferring it, and then when we do budgets, we know how to put money back in there,
Yeah.
and put more money back in what they're taking
It-
into. And that's gonna help us at budget time, because everybody comes in budget time, oh, I need that $1,500, I need this.
And
in
you're-
the year,
I know you're right on
they-
that.
They don't use it, they spend it doing something else.
I know you're right on that, and I think that's
That's what we need.
to me, that's more the purpose of what we're looking at.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Do we wanna make a motion and vote on it for a
You can
first
do first
reading
reading tonight.
tonight,
I don't want
and then
to,
bring it
no.
up again on
Not
July?
tonight. I don't want to, but that's just me.
I'd be fine to vote on it, cause I don't know how I'm voting.
I need a motion if you want to.
I'd make a motion to, pass that ordinance, whatever number it is.
So Jonathan White's made a motion to pass ordinance number 2025-33.
I second it.
Can we do that tonight? At the special meeting?
Without advertising or whatnot, anyway.
It's not an agenda required to be published.
Required for this,
Okay.
so. Motion by White, second by Miller. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the county ordinance number 33 for the auditor's office, signal with aye. 5, and same sign, no.
No,
So
yeah.
5-1 on the first reading.
We bring it back up there.
Yeah, and I'll put it
Changed my
on the
mind,
agenda
we're
for July.
Yeah.
And we didn't vote in tonight, we just advanced it, I understand that.
You guys want to sign that one, I'll give it back.
Well, I wouldn't sign it until we do second reading. It's not passed until we do second reading.
Yeah, sure.
I ain't signing it.
Nope.
You wanna hold it then, and I'll stick it
You
on?
gotta
Me?
pay for it.
You wanna make me oh my goodness, okay. Yes, I will put it in here.
We'll work on Heather.
Plus, you ain't got no paper.
It might have
I've got
cracked
too much crap.
Uh,
Like Cindy, I need my budget binder.
Just to
Cindy, I
be
need
sure, we can,
Sure.
Do you want-
does it have to go 3 readings or can it be voted in the next
Two,
meeting?
it's second reading.
It-
Yeah.
I mean, take 2 readings or take 3?
2.
Okay.
Do you wanna talk about, what we talked about the school, about the bonds and what he was found out about bonds, about the,
Oh, they talked pretty in depth up there at that State Board of Accounts meeting about bonds, and one of the big issues, and you guys said the same thing, so correct me if I interpreted this wrong, but they said that schools are a big reason for this tax reform. And one of the things that they have seen across the board is, schools run out and get a bond often much in advance of the project. They draw that bond. Once they draw it, they have held the county to a taxing rate for that bond. So I know we have a bond hearing coming up for Scott District 1 schools on something that they're wanting. And I guess my fear is that's kind of the same thing that's gonna happen, is we're gonna get entered into another bond, which means not only do we have the jail bond, but then if we have that one and any other outstanding bonds, that increases the county's requirement for local income tax. And it starts, the floor starts at bond level and goes up from there. So just something to be mindful of whenever you see those
Yeah.
hearings coming up on bonds. That's gonna drastically affect this body because we are the ones who are gonna have to, from here on, vote on.
You know what I'm hearing on that, and I don't it doesn't make sense to me, but they're claiming like, generally you drop a bond before you take another one.
Sure.
And, they're saying if you don't, which doesn't make sense to me, but this is what the school is saying, your tax rate goes up if you don't match that bond.
So
That you just lost.
Used
Now
to,
this-
property tax rate was tied directly to your local income tax levies.
Yeah, yeah.
They were tied together. They are no more. Those are two separate entities. That's why everybody's seen their assessed values go up on your property and your property tax change. They are no longer linked to what you can do with local income tax. So all of that circuit breaker system and all that we've known for so long, all goes away. We now, as a county council, set a tax rate for parcels of land in the county, not counting for cities with more than 3,500 population, but anywhere else, we, this body, set that tax rate. Then separately, we look at local income tax, and we again set a rate for that, and that's how it's across the board.
And it has
With
to
a
be
cap
equal.
of- Yeah.
But every entity has to come to this board and ask for.
Every entity under 3,500 population has to come here and ask. And then, so say Vienna Fire wants a 0.05% tax rate. If we adopt that, then that's what every fire department in the county gets,
Only if they ask.
if they ask. But that's now the ceiling for fire departments. So that's some of the changes coming our way. It puts more responsibility and, I hate the word authority, but more, I guess, accountability on county councils. You have a lot more responsibilities to handle your county's tax rate. So that's the changes.
And he was right. I heard it from multiple officials. A lot of this did stem from school systems.
Yeah.
And how a lot of them are astroturfing every piece of grass they have, football fields, baseball fields. And a lot of political officials looked at that as waste of tax dollars. If you can afford that, then we could probably cut back a little. But I'm kind of mixed feeling on that because when you open up schools, you can go anywhere. Now it's a business, it's a competition, and they're all trying to compete. So therefore, you want to have the nicest facility to draw more kids. And they created the monster, so.
And as it is now, you have one taxing rate in your county or, cap. And the rush as to who can get to that tax money the fastest, and that's become a business with school districts and different entities that pull from tax dollars, which Jennifer well knows because we send a lot of those monies from tax dollars. that changes. That changes that the rate is set here in this room by this board, and it's divvied out based on this board, a lot of it, I mean, a vast majority of it. So, kinda what we learned up there. I feel a little bit better about Senate Bill 1. We were reassured numerous times that counties in Indiana have a voice, and, you know, small counties, they understand. Probably gonna be some hiccups along the way because it is new, but I'm willing to learn and try it.
I don't think we have a choice.
Well, you know, they said the foundation of that bill is not going away. It's there. It's there to stay.
The counties,
It's just little tweaks.
the counties will be in way better shape as long as we don't mind to tax the guts out of our people.
Yeah, that's
what I
exactly what it
take.
is, thank you.
But I'm hoping that you can look at, you
But
know,
it's
if
property tax relief.
if Joe Citizen makes this much, pays this much
Say
in taxes
300 bucks,
combined today,
cost you a grand.
it's going to change, and we are going to have to pass taxes per se, but you could keep that number that the general citizen's paying, it's just out of different buckets over
And
here.
that's what they're just like, oh, it's gonna be all okay. We're putting the ball in your court. But somehow, some way, we have to help the public understand, yes, the state catcher property taxes, but their idea for our survival is for us to raise taxes. And we had, the words were, we have to figure out a way to promote that to the public to help
It's
them
basically gonna be a
understand.
net zero.
Yeah,
Or
and
taxpayer,
it's,
or-
so really, it's water fund its level. Yes, you cut property
They think they took
taxes.
so good of care of us over the years, we gotta do it on our own now.
Well, and that's what
We're
they're
so
saying.
lucky.
is
They're so lucky.
wanting
They're
to
so nice
put
to us.
the authority more in the local government's hands.
What they're
Which I
doing is
will
making us
say-
raise taxes, what they're
Right.
doing, getting that simple, they're gonna,
Yeah.
and they've got more money than they know what to do with.
And what they're saying is, you decide how much tax
Yeah,
Scott County
yeah, that's
needs,
awful
not
nice
the
of them.
state.
Yeah, good for them.
But there was I mean, for lack of words on this camera, a hellacious uproar whenever they said, well, if you want to take something away, why don't you take the stuff that the state mandates of us? You know, probation officers are paid a mandated fee, judges and all of this is all paid mandated fees, sheriffs and all these percentages. Take that crap away and let us do what our county needs. And
I don't think they care.
I think
Well, how
I don't
about the
think they
sheriff's
care.
ability
Give
to
a-
do mandates?
I tell you,
What do they give a
Well, that
rap?
was a discussion.
It did make you feel a little better
I know,
listening to
I've
some of
had
those
it
counties
with
though,
multiples.
like, Brown County, there was another one with a big lake.
Yeah.
But 40-some%
Brown
of their,
County.
of Brown County is
State-owned
government property. So when this comes into effect, you're talking catastrophic because they don't have boatloads of houses and industry and so on. So
so-
it's literally,
and pretty much the way I
So the
think,
question comes back to me, why are they doing it?
right.
They
Well, there
say they've
was
got
a-
money, they say they're loaded.
I don't think the lady ever said where she was from, but her county has a massive lake, and like their population fluctuates like 500,000 people in during
Summer.
tourist
She lives
season.
up in Lake County.
So their theory was how do you expect us to sustain emergency response and so on for that amount of people when this is all we're getting in, you know?
and you only have
I
so
don't know
many
what their answer is,
portions.
raise taxes. Yeah,
And well, you were concerned with wheel tax, we talked
yeah,
in
I am
Madison.
concerned about it.
One thing they talked about on that is currently Kevin's only allowed in the CCMG, the Community Crossing Grant. In the one portion of it, if you want in the other, you gotta have a wheel tax. The change that, I don't wanna say makes it worth it, but makes it plausible on the table, is it changes the lane miles, which say Scott County has 350 miles of road. Well, then they go from road miles to lane miles. So you doubled your mileage of your roads, that puts you in a higher bracket of the grant funding. So pretty much if you have a 2-lane road, you now have double that road. You get to count it twice for each lane mile.
What they really want is to raise taxes.
Semantics. That's
It
all
is, they're wanting us to put a wheel tax on our people.
Well, they're telling you
Actually,
if you
there's
want-
a whole separate set of grants that you cannot even get unless
Well,
you
that's the
pass
whole
a wheel
point.
tax.
They are telling us you're not getting anything unless you raise taxes.
Right.
I mean, these aren't our friends anymore, people.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I like it, I'm just telling you what I heard.
I'm trying to figure out the benefit for us.
Oh, and
I don't think they agree with
they also passed.
And they know they can do it.
Interstates.
Yeah, you're gonna pay a toll on the interstates, I reckon. It's been
All back
passed.
roads for me.
Yeah, I like that
You know how
Second
much
Street Bridge.
interstate I travel though?
I use it.
I do too.
Oh, my, I'm dead.
Anybody have anything else?
I do
Or if
not.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I'll make a
second.
motion to adjourn.
I'll
Motion to
second.
Adjourn, second by James Ritchie. All in favor?
Who was first?
JR. No, oh,
I
well.
wasted no time on that one.
You did good, Johnny. I'm kinda proud of you.
We still need to think about it.